Chapter 1177. This was simply too shocking. That's the Big Dipper Formation. It's extremely powerful. Even among the ancient formations, it's one of the strongest. The Crimson Dragon looked ahead with a solemn expression. Even a king couldn't break this formation. I didn't expect it to appear here. What? Even a king couldn't break it? Hearing this, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were shocked. They didn't expect the formation to be so terrifying. No wonder the heavenly Netherbird couldn't break it even after attacking for so long. However, this formation seemed to have angered the heavenly Netherbird. It raised its head and screeched. Its voice tore through the 9 heavens. Black flames rolled around its body and formed a powerful black flame attack that fiercely blasted forward. This attack was too terrifying. Just the aftermath alone wasn't something an honorable realm martial artist could handle. Then, under everyone's horrified gazes, the black flame violently slammed into the light barrier. Suddenly, the entire light barrier trembled violently, as if it was about to crack. However, what shocked everyone was that the light barrier didn't crack. Instead, it shone even brighter, forming 7 star-like light spots that quickly connected together. Finally, the 7 stars emitted 7 dazzling rays of light that blasted towards the heavenly Netherbird. These rays of light were too terrifying. They weren't any weaker than a king's attack. The entire void was pierced through, and the ground rumbled like waves. The 7 light pillars slammed into the heavenly Netherbbird's body. The sound of the collision was like thunder. Everyone quickly sealed their hearing and retreated with pale faces. It was too terrifying. Just the sound alone was enough to make them tremble. If they didn't seal their hearing, they wouldn't have been able to withstand it. The heavenly Netherbird roared crazily as it was attacked. Its huge body shook nonstop. The black flames on its body continued to burn like the flames of hell, resisting the 7 terrifying light pillars. This attack was too terrifying. It could even pierce through a king, but it was blocked by the heavenly Netherbird. Everyone was hiding in the distance. When they saw this scene, they were shocked. It blocked it, as expected of a peerless beast on the heaven leaderboard. It's really powerful. Lin Xian was also shocked. This heavenly Netherbird was too terrifying. All of them combined couldn't even withstand a single blow from it. However, even though it wasn't pierced by the light beam, the heavenly Netherbird seemed to have been injured. Thus, it attacked the defensive formation even more ferociously. This kind of demonic beast is an invincible existence under the king level. No one can withstand a single attack from it. An elder of Merry Woods said with a serious expression, "What's even more terrifying is that the defensive formation can withstand so many attacks from the heavenly Netherbird." The elder of the Morong family laughed bitterly. "If you want us to break it, I'm afraid we won't be able to do it." However, the people from the Palace of Gods of War were extremely excited. "It looks like we wouldn't have been able to break the array, but with the heavenly Netherbird leading the charge, it's great." "That's right. When the formation is broken, we can sneak in quietly. We won't have to worry about not being able to get any treasures." The disciples of the Palace of Gods of War were excited. In fact, all of them had benefited from the heavenly Netherbird. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to find the core area so easily. Moreover, they wouldn't have been able to pass through the huge city and enter here so easily. Thus, from the current situation, it seemed that these people had benefited from following the heavenly Netherbird. With their previous experience, they were looking forward to the heavenly Netherbird's next move. In front of them, although the Big Dipper array was terrifying, under the heavenly Netherbird's ferocious attacks, it began to tremble violently. There were even cracks appearing in some places. This scene caused the eyes of all the major forces to light up as they became excited. Before this, they had no way of breaking the array. But now, cracks had appeared in the terrifying defensive formation. This was an opportunity for them. If they used the cracks, they might be able to find a loophole. If they could break it, they would be able to enter. At that time, they would be able to explore the mysterious Dark Pine Palace. Thus, many forces began to move. Of course, they couldn't go straight for the heavenly Netherbird. Instead, they circled around to the furthest place from the heavenly Netherbird. Furthermore, these cultivators all used their own methods to carefully move forward, afraid of being discovered by the heavenly Netherbird. Luckily, the heavenly Netherbird's ferocious attacks on the Big Dipper array caused the entire space to be filled with light and the spiritual energy to be extremely chaotic. This provided the best conditions for them to move forward. They carefully moved forward and quickly approached the array. However, the Big Dipper array was an ancient array after all. It was extremely powerful and was set up by a peerless expert. Although cracks had appeared under the heavenly Netherbird's attacks, the array seemed to be able to repair itself. The cracks only existed for a short period of time before returning to normal. When the heavenly Serene Bird attacked again, the cracks would reappear. Moreover, the cracks would only appear for a short period of time each time. However, the major forces did not give up. After all, they had some understanding of the remote sky secret realm. Thus, they had array masters in their teams. At this moment, they came in handy. After the research of these array masters, they found that the safest way to enter was through the cracks. If they tried to force their way in from other places, there would be a certain amount of danger. Cultivators below the king level would not be able to resist that kind of danger. Thus, for a time, the major forces focused their attention on the cracks. However, the cracks were random. Thus, no one knew where the cracks would appear. Moreover, the cracks only existed for a short period of time. Only by seizing the opportunity could they enter. However, after everyone's research, they found that there was a high chance that cracks would appear again. Thus, for a time, everyone began to fight for positions. The Palace of Ares was very domineering. They directly occupied the place with the highest probability of cracks appearing. The other warriors, such as Mary Woods and Divine Bird Palace, also quickly fought for positions. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui brought the Crimson Dragon and quickly moved forward. In terms of array mastery, no one here could compare to the Crimson Dragon. Thus, they quickly arrived near the array. However, they were few in number and did not manage to get a good position. However, they were not too worried. After all, there were many cracks. It was only a matter of time before they entered. However, not long after, Lin Xian frowned. This was because he found that after approaching the array, the frequency of cracks appearing decreased. Moreover, the cracks only existed for a short period of time. It was not enough time for people to enter. Rosalong, is there a way to break this array? Lin Xian asked. It is very difficult to break the entire array. However, it is possible to let 1 or 2 people in. The Crimson Dragon said in a deep voice, "Give me some time, and I can send you in." Chapter 1178. It was not wrong at all. It was extremely difficult to break the Big Dipper array. After all, the heavenly Netherbird was such a terrifying existence. Even after attacking for so long, it was still unable to break through. One could only imagine how terrifying the Big Dipper array was. Although the Crimson Dragon was very powerful in array formations, it was still unable to break through the Big Dipper array in such a short time. However, the array had already been damaged by the heavenly Netherbird. As long as they could exploit these flaws, they would be able to teleport people in. This might be impossible for array masters from other factions, but the Crimson Dragon could do it. Then hurry up, Lin Xian urged. He had a bad feeling about this, but he was not sure what it was. The Crimson Dragon nodded and waved its claws, touching the Big Dipper array. Immediately, ripples appeared on the Big Dipper 7 stars formation, releasing a 5-colored light. The dark red Divine Dragon quickly studied it. However, As time passed, Lin Xian frowned even more. Not only him, but Zhao Shui also frowned. You noticed it too? Lin Xian asked in a deep voice. Ever since we arrived, the frequency of the cracks has been very small. Until now, they have not appeared for a long time. Zhao Shui frowned and said, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui weren't the only ones. Gradually, the martial artists from the other forces began to realize what was happening. Soon, everyone began to panic. If there were no cracks, they would not be able to enter. Therefore, they were very anxious. The sound of the attacks has decreased. The elder of Merrywoods frowned. Yes, the chaotic spiritual energy in the sky has also disappeared. The members of the Morong family also had a serious expression. The people from the palace of Ares seemed to have thought of something and quickly looked forward. Then, their expressions changed. God, the heavenly netherbird disappeared. What? Disappeared? Everyone was stunned. How could the heavenly netherbird disappear? Could it have already entered? The disappearance of the heavenly netherbird caused everyone to panic. They could not understand how such a huge monster could disappear. Could he have entered a formation? Someone guessed. Hearing this, many people despaired. If the heavenly serene bird really entered the array, then they would have no chance. However, some other people quickly shook their heads, especially those great array masters. If the heavenly netherbird had entered the formation, it would have definitely affected it, but we didn't notice it at all. Hearing the words of these array masters, the surrounding martial artists relaxed. This was because these array masters were the elites of their families. They were very accomplished in the field of array formations. It could be said that their words were the truth. Therefore, when everyone heard the words of these array masters, they all relaxed. Luckily, as long as the heavenly netherbird didn't enter, everything would be easy. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. But where did it go? Everyone was puzzled. However, at this moment, a shadow cast down and enveloped everyone. Then a cold voice sounded. Foolish humans, what are you looking for? Hearing this voice, everyone's expression changed, and then they subconsciously raised their heads. In the end, they saw a scene that made them despair. Above their heads, there was an enormous head. It was incomparably malevolent, and its ice-cold eyes were staring at them. The heavenly netherbird. Many people's faces were pale and filled with fear. They didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to come to their side without them noticing. Even Lin Xian was shocked. This was because before this he didn't sense the other party's aura at all. This was too inconceivable. One had to know that the heavenly netherbbird's body emitted a scorching and violent aura, but it was able to disappear without a trace in an instant. It was able to hide from everyone's soul detection, as expected of an ancient demonic beast. This method was indeed terrifying. Not good. Run. More than a dozen martial artists were scared out of their wits and immediately fled into the distance. However, the heavenly netherbird snorted coldly. The black flames on its body quickly surged out and enveloped the martial artists in an instant. Then, the martial artists let out miserable cries and were burned to ashes by the black flames. Seeing this scene, everyone's scalps went numb and their pupils constricted. This was because there were 7th-level honorables among those people. However, they couldn't even block a single strand of black flames. This was too frightening. Without even lifting its eyelids, the heavenly netherbird had dealt with dozens of martial artists. Then, it snorted coldly again. The black flames on its body bloomed, and a terrifying and violent aura instantly enveloped everyone. Feeling this aura, everyone's faces were filled with despair. Their bodies trembled, and those who were weaker were pressed to the ground. Lin Xian felt this aura, and his face changed greatly. In the next moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body was activated and was about to let out a dragon's roar. Fortunately, he discovered it quickly and quickly controlled the great dragon sword soul so that it didn't let out any strange sounds. The great dragon sword soul could indeed eliminate this terrifying aura, but that would also expose him to the heavenly netherbird. With his current strength, he was far from being able to contend with the heavenly netherbird. This was why he controlled the great dragon sword soul. Now, what he needed to do was to not attract the heavenly netherbird's attention. Otherwise, if the heavenly netherbird noticed him, he wouldn't be able to escape. At this moment, everyone's eyes were filled with deep despair. They didn't think that the heavenly netherbird would find them so quickly. Furthermore, they realized that the heavenly netherbird's aura wasn't something that they could contend with. Are we really going to die here? The young prodigies were filled with despair, and their eyes were filled with unwillingness. Lowly insects, did you really think that I didn't notice your existence? You still wanted to use me to enter the Dark Pine Palace? What a joke! The heavenly netherbird's cold voice resounded. Hearing this voice, the martial artists were shocked. At the same time, their eyes were filled with boundless regret. It turned out that all of their actions had already been discovered by the heavenly netherbird. The reason why it didn't kill them was probably because they were just ants in the eyes of the heavenly netherbird. It was laughable that they wanted to use the heavenly netherbird's power to enter the Dark Pine Palace. Now that they thought about it, they were really courting death. It was likely that their actions had caused the heavenly netherbird's dissatisfaction, resulting in this scene. Thinking about this, the martial artist's intestines turned green with regret. If they knew, they wouldn't have dared to come here, even if they were beaten to death. At this moment, under the heavenly netherbirds' cold gaze, everyone's hearts trembled. On the other hand, Lin Xian quickly sent a message to the Crimson Dragon. Rosalong, are you done? Soon. Give me a little more time, and I'll be able to enter. The Crimson Dragon replied in a deep voice. Although the heavenly netherbirds' aura didn't affect him, his situation was still very dangerous. If the heavenly netherbird found out that he was the Eastern Divine Dragon, his fate would be very miserable. Chapter 1179. He was from the Divine Dragon clan, and his entire body was filled with treasures. However, he did not have enough power to fight against the heavenly netherbird. Therefore, he was more anxious than anyone else. Luckily, the heavenly netherbird only stared at those people and did not notice him. The other warriors were driven crazy by the heavenly netherbird. Its aura was too terrifying and could take their lives at any time. In the end, there were a few cultivators who couldn't bear the pressure and went crazy in this extreme despair. With a furious roar, the few of them seemed to have gone mad. They released their spiritual energy and fled into the distance. They could not take it anymore. The aura was too terrifying. Instead of struggling in despair, they might as well use all their strength to escape. Perhaps they would have a chance of survival. That was the thought of the few people who were running away. However, just as they ran, they were burned to ashes by a black flame. In the end, nothing was left. No, the other warriors roared crazily. They could only watch helplessly as their companions were killed, but they were powerless to do anything. This feeling was too despairing. Humph, lowly worm. The heavenly netherbird killed a few humans with a wave of its hand. However, it did not care. Its cold eyes scanned the crowd below. Those who were swept by its gaze trembled and quickly lowered their heads. Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. The situation was too dangerous. No one knew when the heavenly netherbird would attack. Who would it attack? To everyone, this was an extremely torturous process. However, at this time, the Crimson Dragon sent a piece of good news. I'm ready. We can go in. Hearing this, Lin Xian's heart skipped a beat. However, he suppressed the joy in his heart and did not show it on his face. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If he missed it, he would not have another chance. Now that Zhao Shui and Rizalong were by his side, they could go in with him. However, Murong Qingcheng was a bit far away from him. He wanted to send a message to bring Murong Qingcheng with him. However, before he could send a message, the heavenly netherbird suddenly turned its head and stared at him coldly. Lin Xian's hair stood on end after being stared at by the heavenly netherbird. A huge pressure enveloped him, as if it was going to crush him. Not good, let's go. The crimson dragon also felt his scalp tingle. He didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to be so sharp. It was able to discover their intentions in an instant. In the next moment, he no longer hesitated and quickly moved the formation. Immediately, 3 rays of light enveloped Lin Xian and the others. Humph, you 3 ants want to escape from me? How laughable! The heavenly serene bird showed a look of disdain, then it raised its huge claws and clawed forward. Suddenly, the empty palace cracked like a mirror, and countless black cracks appeared. In an instant, it enveloped Lin Xian and the other 2. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Murong Qingcheng's face also changed. She didn't expect the heavenly netherbird to attack Lin Xian. In the next moment, she raised her jade-like hand and was about to strike with the true phoenix imperial jade seal. However, he was held down by the silver-haired granny. Miss, it's useless. Even if you attack, you won't be able to save them. The silver-haired granny quickly stopped her. Indeed, the heavenly netherbird was too terrifying. Even if a king came, he might not be able to subdue it, let alone people like them. Even if Murong Qingcheng attacked, she wouldn't be able to cause any harm. Instead, she might expose herself and draw the heavenly netherbirds' anger onto the Murong family. On the other side, the people from the Palace of Gods of War and the Palace of Divine Birds were ecstatic. This was because they had suffered a lot at the hands of Lin Xian. Everyone hated Lin Xian very much, but they couldn't catch him. Now, the heavenly netherbird had attacked Lin Xian. This was undoubtedly great news for them. No matter how strange this kid was, he wouldn't have any chance of escaping from the heavenly netherbird. The 9th young lord of the Shin family also sneered. Kid, you dare to steal my woman. Now you know what retribution is. Go to hell. Everyone thought that Lin Xian was dead for sure. There was no way he could survive. However, under the giant claw, 3 rays of light quickly merged into the Big Dipper formation. Then, with a swoosh, the 3 of them disappeared. What? This is impossible. They disappeared? How is this possible? Everyone's eyes widened, as if they had seen a ghost. This was because they realized that Lin Xian and the other 2 had disappeared under the heavenly netherbirds' giant claw. They weren't burned to ashes by the black flames. Instead, they merged into the formation. That kid entered the formation. How is this possible? Everyone's mind went blank. They couldn't believe that Lin Xian could enter the formation. One had to know that even the terrifying heavenly netherbird couldn't do anything against the Big Dipper formation. How could a kid at the 6th sky of martial honor enter it in an instant? The heavenly netherbird was also stunned. Then it became angry. It didn't think that 3 little human insects could escape from its hands. What made it even angrier was that the 3 of them seemed to have entered the Big Dipper formation. That damned array. Even she couldn't break it before, but 3 ant-like people were actually able to enter. This made her unable to believe it. With a cold snort, the heavenly netherbirds' giant claw viciously clawed forward. Bang! The giant black claw carried boundless black flames as it quickly bombarded the light screen. Instantly, it caused a shocking explosion. Endless waves of spiritual energy rushed forward like a tsunami. Chapter 1180. Being stared at by the heavenly serene bird's cold eyes. Everyone was scared and desperate. However, after a while, they realized that the heavenly serene bird did not attack them. This made them feel relieved, but at the same time confused. With the heavenly serene bird's cruel personality, it would not let them go. Since it did not attack them, it could only mean one thing: they were still useful. Other than that, they could not think of a reason why the heavenly serene bird did not attack them. Honorable heavenly serene bird, what do you need us to do? At this time, an elder of the divine bird palace stood up and asked in a respectful tone. To be honest, no one wanted to die, especially when facing such a terrifying existence like the heavenly serene bird. Even if they were being used, they were willing to do so. The heavenly serene bird's huge eyes turned and stared at the elder of the divine bird palace. Then its cold voice sounded again. You are smart. You know what I mean. Yes, I do need you to do something. The heavenly serene bird looked at the elder and said, So, you are the descendants of the 3 crimson blood birds. I did not expect to meet you here. Hearing this, the people of the divine bird palace were excited. The elder asked again, Does Lord Heavenly Serene Bird know our ancestors? Looking at his expression, he could not wait to become relatives with the Heavenly Serene Bird. That way, he would not have to die. They had met once. The Heavenly Serene Bird said in a deep voice, Work hard for me, and maybe I will spare your lives. Otherwise, even if you are the descendants of an old friend, I will not show mercy. At the end of the sentence, the atmosphere became heavy again. The whole space seemed to be frozen. Lord, please tell us what to do. We will do our best, even if we have to die 1,000 times. After that, the elder of the divine bird palace knelt down. Then, all the warriors of the divine bird palace knelt down in front of the heavenly serene bird. When the other warriors saw this, their faces changed. Although they did not kneel down like the divine bird palace, they quickly asked, seeing that everyone had surrendered. The heavenly serene bird nodded with satisfaction and said, My request is simple. As long as you work hard, you will be able to do it. First, enter the Pine Palace, find the formation room, and destroy it. Second, find the key to remove the star chains on me. As for how to enter the Pine Palace, you do not need to worry. I will send you in. Hearing this, the surrounding warriors were shocked. They didn't think that they would be sent to Deep Pine Hall to complete a mission. It seemed that the heavenly Netherbird couldn't enter the Pine Palace. Moreover, there should be restrictions on it, which should be the star chains. However, what made them happy was that they were able to enter the Deep Pine Palace. However, they were worried that the heavenly Netherbird's request wouldn't be easy. This array formation control room was definitely the most important part of Deep Pine Hall. They might not be able to enter, but they also had to find the key to lift the restrictions placed on the other party. If the restriction on the other party's body was broken, then the Heaven Netherbird would have nothing to worry about. If they destroyed the formation, then there would be nothing in the entire remote sky secret realm that could trap them. At that time, their lives would no longer be in his hands. Everything would be in the hands of the heavenly Netherbird. However, if they could find the key to unlock the star chains, they might be able to take the initiative and negotiate with the heavenly Netherbird again. Thinking of this, everyone's hearts burned with passion because they finally found the hope of survival. Don't worry, sir. We will definitely fulfill your request. The warrior of Divine Bird Palace said respectfully. The others also nodded in agreement. However, the heavenly Netherbird sneered. Although you agreed very quickly, I know that you humans are naturally cunning. If I let you in like this, I won't be at ease. What? Everyone's hearts thumped as a bad premonition arose in their hearts. Sure enough, the heavenly Netherbird continued, I will plant a black lotus mark on each of you. As long as you do as I say and complete the task, you will not be in any danger. However, if you dare to disobey my orders, the black lotus in your body will instantly turn into black flames and burn you to ashes. Everyone's faces turned pale as a touch of despair appeared in their eyes. It seemed that working for the heavenly Netherbird wasn't going to be easy. Not to mention the two things that were hard to find. The flames in their bodies were like a ticking time bomb that could explode at any time. What? You don't want to? The heavenly Netherbird sneered when it saw everyone's expression. How could that be? Sir, please do as you wish. The people of Divine Bird Palace didn't dare to resist as they knelt on the ground and said respectfully, seeing that the people of Divine Bird Palace had spoken, the other warriors had no choice but to bite the bullet and agree. After all, the heavenly Netherbird was extremely ferocious and could kill people in the blink of an eye. They didn't want to become cannon fodder for its anger. Seeing that no one dared to resist, the heavenly Netherbird smiled with satisfaction. Then the black flames on its body soared and turned into countless black lights that quickly merged into the bodies of the warriors. Suddenly, the warriors' bodies shook as they felt a black flame appear in their bodies. A black lotus mark appeared on the back of their necks. Although the flame was small, everyone could feel the terrifying energy contained within it. It could easily burn all the warriors below the king level to ashes. The others were smoothly planted with the mark, but Murong Chingching's beautiful face turned pale. Her body soared with a huge light, as if she wanted to resist. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. The Murong family's faces changed greatly. They couldn't understand why Murong Chingching dared to resist in front of everyone. Murong Chingching also smiled bitterly. She wasn't resisting at all. It was involuntarily produced by the power of the bloodline in her body. Even the heavenly Netherbird was stunned. Its huge eyes stared at Murong Chingching. There seems to be a trace of the phoenix bloodline in her bloodline. No wonder she could resist my black lotus mark. The heavenly Netherbird was very surprised, but it didn't seem to be angry. This made the Murong family slightly relieved. However, in the next moment, their hearts were in their throats again. This was because the heavenly Netherbird attacked again. It shot out a few black flames, and all of them entered Murong Chingching's body. Suddenly, the five-colored light on Murong Chingching's body was suppressed and finally disappeared into the air. A black lotus mark also appeared on the back of her fair neck. I didn't expect to meet a descendant of the three-headed crimson bloodbird and a warrior with the phoenix bloodline. It seems that you people are stronger than I thought. I think you should be able to do the two things I asked you to do. The heavenly Netherbird seemed very excited. It waved its huge beast claws and grabbed at the Big Dipper array. Chapter 1181. Boundless black flames condensed and formed a black blade that quickly slashed at the Big Dipper array's light screen. This attack was very powerful, far more powerful than before. It directly slashed a 2-meter-long crack in the Big Dipper array's light screen. This crack was insignificant to the heavenly Netherbbird's huge body, but it was enough for these human warriors. Hurry up and go in. At this moment, the heavenly Netherbird coldly shouted. Suddenly, the surrounding warriors trembled and quickly entered the crack without delay. Only after all the warriors had entered did the dark crack gradually heal. Finally, it was as good as new. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless figures appeared in the array. Although they had entered the array, they could still feel the terrifying pressure from the heavenly Netherbird outside the array. Not only that, but there was a voice in their hearts. Then, following the voice, they quickly turned around and looked behind them. Suddenly, something like a map appeared in the light screen between the heavenly Netherbird and these people. This is the topographic map of the entire Pine Palace. You must remember it clearly. The map only existed for a short time. As the heavenly Netherbird's voice disappeared, the map also disappeared. However, all of them were Exalt Realm experts, so their memories weren't bad at all. So, they'd instantly committed the map to memory. When the map disappeared, The black lotus mark on everyone's body no longer shone. Not only that, the pressure from the heavenly netherbird outside the array seemed to have weakened a lot. Feeling this change, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Then, they quickly gathered together according to their respective forces. At this moment, two figures rushed over from afar. One of them quickly shouted, "Qingcheng, are you okay?" Seeing this figure, everyone was shocked. However, Murong Qingcheng smiled sweetly. This was because these two figures were Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. The one who asked was Lin Xian. "I'm fine. It was scary but not dangerous." Murong Qingcheng smiled. At this moment, a cold snort sounded. "Boy, you dare to play tricks in front of the heavenly netherbird. You're definitely dead this time. Once we get out of here, Lord Heavenly Netherbird will definitely burn you to ashes." The people of Divine Bird Palace sneered. The ninth young master of the Shin family was also staring at Lin Xian with a murderous look in his eyes. The others had strange expressions on their faces because they still couldn't figure out how Lin Xian had gotten in. Hearing Shi Shen Niagong's threat, Lin Xian snorted coldly. "A bunch of idiots. How dare you laugh at me? Do you really think that the heavenly netherbird will let you go after you help him?" Hearing this, everyone's heart thumped. Yes, with the heavenly netherbbird's cruel personality, how could it let them go? Perhaps the heavenly netherbird would kill them after they finished their mission. The faces of the people of the Divine Bird Palace also became very ugly. They were also confused by this question, but they didn't want to see Lin Xian's proud expression. So they said coldly, "No matter what, Lord Heavenly Netherbird is still a great figure that has surpassed the king realm. The words of such a person can definitely be trusted. As long as we help him complete his mission, he will definitely let us go." Lord Lin Xian looked at the people of the Divine Bird Palace with disdain. "I really don't know if you guys are humans or monsters. How dare you call a peerless beast Lord? If it was a human expert, maybe I could believe it. But for a monster, I really can't find any reason to believe it," Lin Xian said coldly. Hearing this, everyone hesitated. Are we really going to help the heavenly netherbird complete his mission? But what can we do if we don't complete the mission? Our time is limited, and the heavenly netherbird has set up a seal. If we don't do as he says, once the time is up, the black flames in our bodies will burn. At that time, we won't be able to escape. Many warriors shook their heads and sighed. Maybe we can find the key to the star chains and then negotiate with the heavenly netherbird, a warrior said in a deep voice. Hearing this, everyone's eyes lit up and they nodded. This was indeed a good idea. However, just as they smiled, the warrior who suggested this idea suddenly burst into flames. The black flames instantly covered the warrior. In the blink of an eye, the warrior was burned clean and no longer existed. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. It was as if they were shrouded by a huge fear. Their bodies couldn't stop trembling. "It's burning. The black flames in our bodies are burning," someone said in a trembling voice. "This is impossible. We just came in and didn't do anything. Also, the time limit is still very long. How could it burn for no reason?" Everyone was terrified and couldn't understand. However, they didn't know that outside the defensive array, the heavenly netherbird was staring at them coldly. Humph, a bunch of ants trying to control me. What a joke. It turned out that the heavenly netherbird was monitoring their every move. It could even hear their conversation clearly. However, the people inside the array were completely unaware of this. At this time, the Crimson Dragon opened its mouth. "Stop talking. The heavenly netherbird can hear your words. That guy spoke rudely just now and naturally angered it. That's why he ended up like this." "What? It can hear our conversation?" Hearing the Crimson Dragon's words, everyone was shocked. However, they soon understood. This was because each of them had a black lotus mark on them. This thing was extremely strange. Perhaps the heavenly netherbird could hear their conversation through this mark. Why don't we use our divine sense to communicate? Someone suggested, don't waste your energy. Nothing you do can escape the heavenly netherbird surveillance. So, I advise you to stay here obediently. The Crimson Dragon said coldly, because he was once in existence above the king realm, he knows the methods of people of that realm very well. The methods of those peerless figures were definitely not something that these sovereigns could understand. Hearing this, everyone's faces turned ugly. It was as if they were being monitored and couldn't do anything to threaten the heavenly netherbird. In other words, their lives were firmly in the hands of the heavenly netherbird. From the conversation, Lin Xian also knew the goals of these people. First, they wanted to find the array room that could control the array. Second, they wanted to find the key to the heavenly netherbird's astral chains. After hearing this, Lin Xian's eyes flashed. Previously, he and Zhao Shui had entered early, so they weren't very clear about what was happening outside. However, it seemed that even though the heavenly netherbird was terrifying, it couldn't enter the array in a short period of time. Moreover, there seemed to be a powerful restriction on its body. Chapter 1182. However, it seemed that even though the heavenly netherbird was terrifying, it would not be able to enter the formation for a while. Moreover, there seemed to be a powerful restriction on its body. That was why they were looking for the key to remove it. Originally, Lin Xian had no way to deal with the powerful heavenly netherbird, let alone obtain the black flames on its body. However, it seemed that it was not impossible. As long as they could find the key to the stellar chains with the help of the Crimson Dragon, they might have a chance. Lin Xian did not want to kill the heavenly netherbird because he knew that even if he found the key, he would not be able to kill it. His goal was the black flames on the heavenly netherbird's body and the essence blood in its body. These two things were what both he and the Crimson Dragon wanted. Therefore, it seemed that they had to find the key to the stellar chains before anyone else. Furthermore, he would absolutely not allow anyone to destroy the control room of this defensive array formation. However, there was one more thing he had to do, and that was to save Morong Qingcheng. Ruzalong, is there any way to get rid of the black flames in Qingcheng's body? Lin Xian asked. Because the heavenly netherbird did not place the black lotus mark on him, he was not worried that the heavenly netherbird would hear his and the Crimson Dragon's words. In my current state, it will not be easy to get rid of the black flames. Moreover, the heavenly netherbird might discover it during the process. If it explodes, we will not be able to do anything. However, I can use some methods to temporarily cut off the connection between the heavenly netherbird and Morong Qingcheng's black flames. Then, I will slowly research a way to break it. The Crimson Dragon replied, Okay, let's do that for now. Afterwards, Lin Xian pulled Morong Qingcheng to his side and let the Crimson Dragon set up a formation in her body to temporarily suppress the black lotus mark. This scene shocked everyone as they looked at Lin Xian with fiery eyes. This was because they knew that if they could suppress the mark, it would mean that they would be safe for a period of time. However, Lin Xian didn't care about them at all. Even the Morong family only saved Morong Qingcheng. Firstly, he had a special relationship with Morong Qingcheng, so of course he had to save him. Secondly, he was not familiar with the others, so there was no need for him to do anything. Furthermore, suppressing the black flames wasn't an easy task. With the current cultivation of the Crimson Dragon, suppressing one of them wasn't easy at all. For the sake of the Crimson Dragon's stamina, Lin Xian didn't let him save anyone else. However, although he set up a formation for Morong Qingcheng, Lin Xian still didn't let Morong Qingcheng follow him. Instead, she was allowed to return to the Morong family. This was because he knew that it was safer for Morong Qingcheng to stay with the Morong family than by his side. The next step was to explore the Pine Palace. Lin Xian took a deep breath and flew forward with Zhao Shui. "Let's go to," Murong Qingqing said in a deep voice. Then he led the Murong family and set off. After that, the warriors from the other forces also set off. The Pine Palace was the core area of the tranquil heavenly secret realm. There were definitely many treasures inside. If they could obtain one or two of them, their strength would definitely increase greatly. Although they still couldn't fight against the heavenly Netherbird, they could at least protect themselves. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui took the lead and quickly moved through the palace. Soon, Lin Xian's eyes lit up, and he quickly flew to the side. What a rich spiritual energy! He stopped in front of a small purple tree. Wu Ji the little white monkey seemed to have smelled a fragrance and immediately flew out of the demon beast bag. It looked at the purple tree in front of it and squinted its big eyes. "This is good stuff. This is the purple spirit grape." The crimson dragon was also drooling at the side. However, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were much more careful because they knew that there would definitely be danger in the vicinity of these natural treasures. It would either be a powerful formation or a powerful demon beast. Therefore, the two of them didn't make a move and quickly looked around. "You two don't look. Hurry up and pick them." The crimson dragon roared and quickly ran forward. He waved his dragon claws and grabbed the purple grapes. However, in the next moment, he grabbed nothing. Wu Ji, the little white monkey's body flashed and picked all the purple grapes. Then it quickly ate them. F***CK. Damn monkey. Why are you so fast? Give Ben Huang some. The crimson dragon and the little white monkey started to fight over the grapes. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui were shocked because they realized that Little White was not in any danger during the entire process. Could it be that we're overthinking things? Lin Xian asked suspiciously. Maybe. The corner of Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. The little white monkey didn't care about that. It waved its furry paws and quickly gave some of the grapes to Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. "It seems that we really thought too much. Try it," Lin Xian said with a smile. Then he put a purple spirit fruit into his mouth. As soon as the spirit fruit entered his mouth, it turned into pure spirit energy and quickly flowed through his body. What pure spiritual energy! No wonder it's the treasures of Pine Palace. It's extraordinary. Lin Xian's eyes lit up. That fingernail-sized purple grape was equivalent to 2 to 3 months of hard work. Needless to say, it was definitely good stuff. At the side, Zhao Shui ate one and smiled. Then she activated her void sky eyes and quickly scanned her surroundings. In the next moment, she was shocked. They were flame fruit Kirin grass, half moon fruit. One by one, strange spirit fruits appeared in her field of vision. Moreover, there were no powerful restrictions around the spirit fruits, nor were there any powerful monsters guarding them. You two don't have to be too surprised. Although these spirit fruits are precious in the outside world, in Pine Palace they are just ordinary fruit trees. The crimson dragon explained as it flew forward. The little white monkey was even faster. It turned into a bolt of white lightning and shuttled through the fruit forest, as expected of an ancient expert. Such a good spirit fruit is only an ordinary fruit tree here. Lin Xian took a deep breath and flew forward with Zhao Shui. Since there were no restrictions, they didn't hold back and quickly picked the fruits. Just as Lin Xian and Zhao Shui entered the fruit forest, the other warriors behind them arrived. When they saw the spirit fruits on the ground, their eyes lit up. "Don't be rash. Be careful." An elder stopped a few young warriors who were about to rush over. Then he sternly lectured them. "Young man, don't be rash. There must be a powerful restriction or a ferocious monster near these treasures. You must be careful. Don't be reckless. Otherwise, it's not a big deal if you don't get the spirit fruits. If you lose your life, the losses will outweigh the gains. The elder was very serious as he educated his subordinates. The other warriors nodded. Indeed, in their opinion, since there were so many natural treasures in this place, there must be extremely powerful restrictions in the surroundings, or there must be a peerless, ferocious beast. Chapter 1183. Let's work together. The group carefully scanned the surroundings and slowly approached the orchard. At this moment, a rustling sound came from the orchard. It sounded like something was crawling. There's movement. Many people focused their attention and stared straight ahead. The young warriors were also nervous. Fortunately, they had the guidance of the elders. Otherwise, they might have become monsters' lunch if they had rashly gone up. Those martial artists also had lingering fear on their faces, and they were very grateful to the elder, who stopped them. However, the next moment, the young warriors were all stunned. Their eyes widened, as if they could not believe what they were seeing. This was because what was walking towards Guo Linli wasn't a powerful demonic beast, but a dark red snake. Hey, isn't that Lin Xian's pet? Why is it here? Yes, there should be a powerful restriction array here. Why is it fine? Could it be that they broke it? The group of people was extremely puzzled. Even those of the older generation were stunned. Damn you, you're the snake. Your whole family are snakes. The Crimson Dragon stomped his feet in anger and took a bite of the Kirin fruit in his hand. What is it eating? Could it be a supreme-grade spirit fruit? The crowd ignored the Crimson Dragon's curses and stared at the spirit fruit in his hand. Yes, it looks like a supreme-grade spirit fruit. It's definitely a supreme-grade spirit fruit. The group was excited and wanted to pounce on it immediately. However, they had just been lectured by the elders and did not dare to move forward rashly. There must be a powerful restriction array in a place with such a supreme-grade spirit fruit. Damn it, how did they get in? Could it be that they broke the array? This kid could enter the Big Dipper array in such a strange way. The group looked ahead suspiciously. The Crimson Dragon was also stunned when he heard the crowd's conversation. Then he burst into laughter. These people also thought that there must be a terrifying restriction array in the vicinity of the orchard. It seemed that they still did not understand what kind of place the Pine Palace was. However, he would not let these people in so easily. He immediately said loudly, "Of course, there is a restriction array, and it's a very powerful one. However, Ben Huang is a formation grandmaster. Of course, he'll be able to open a bloody path. As for you guys, you won't be able to. If you don't believe me, you can try. I can guarantee that no one below king level will be able to walk in alive." What? So powerful! Everyone's expression changed when they heard this. Even though they didn't really believe it, the other party was in existence that could enter the Big Dipper formation without anyone noticing. If they were to really compete in terms of array formations, it was likely that none of them would be a match for the other party. Therefore, for a moment, these people were shocked. When the Crimson Dragon saw that his words had frightened countless warriors, he laughed in his heart, but on the surface, he pretended to be very calm. "But you don't have to worry. If you acknowledge me as your king and become my human pet, I can consider helping you enter." "What? You want us to be your lackeys? Why don't you just die? Damn snake! How dare you boast so shamelessly? I'll kill you when I come out." A group of people roared in anger. Who were they? Most of them were experts from top forces, and many of them were disciples of the House of Kings. Their identities could be said to be very noble. However, now, a snake wanted to take them in as servants. How could they accept this? However, after the Crimson Dragon heard this, he waved his dragon claws disdainfully. A group of ignorant things. When Ben Huang was all-powerful, your ancestors weren't even born yet. Being Ben Huang's human pet, is definitely a blessing that you've cultivated for 8 lifetimes. Now, you're still chirping and complaining that you're not willing. Let me tell you, not everyone can be Benwang's human pet. Only Seventh Heaven Venerables or disciples of the House of Kings can barely be my human pet. Hearing this, the Seventh Heaven Venerables and cultivators of the House of Kings' faces instantly darkened. Damn it, this snake was too abominable. It was obviously targeting them. These elders were so angry that their beards trembled. Murderous intent filled their bodies. They couldn't wait to rush up and chop this snake into 108 pieces. However, they didn't dare to do so. This was because these old fellows firmly believed that there must be a powerful restrictive array near the orchard. Therefore, they could only watch the Crimson Dragon hoot and didn't dare to do anything. Seeing these people's darkened faces, the Crimson Dragon felt refreshed. At this time, Lin Xian and the other 2 in the orchard were almost done with their harvest. Therefore, they quickly walked over. Lin Xian glanced at the cultivators in front of him indifferently. Then he called the Crimson Dragon and quickly walked out of the orchard. Seeing this scene, everyone was shocked, especially the array masters. Their eyes were wide open. They had to see clearly how the other party broke the restrictive array. However, they were soon dumbfounded. This was because they realized that Lin Xian and the others didn't break the restrictive array at all. Instead, they swaggered out. How is this possible? Could it be that there was something profound about their footwork? A group of array masters were quickly analyzing the situation. Lin Xian and Zhao Shui, who hadn't gone far, heard these words and laughed. However, they wouldn't explain anything. The Crimson Dragon, on the other hand, laughed loudly. He turned around and looked at the people in the distance with disdain. Haha, a bunch of idiots. You can slowly analyze it. When the cultivators behind heard this, they were so angry that they vomited blood, especially the array masters and the older generation figures. Their faces were hideous. Damn that snake. I'm an array master. I don't believe that I can't break it. That's right. If we join forces, we can definitely break it. The young martial artists looked at each other in dismay as they discussed among themselves. Why do I feel like there's no restrictive array here? I think so too. Look at Lin Xian. He's just walking casually. He doesn't look like he's breaking the restrictive array. Yeah, could it be that the elders made a mistake? Although the voices of these disciples were soft, the soul perception of the older generation was extremely sharp. Therefore, they heard everything that was said. Suddenly, the elders' faces darkened. Many of them turned around angrily. No restrictive array? How is this possible? Kid, today, I'll let you know the dangers of being young and ignorant. After saying that, one of the array masters reached out his hand, grabbed a young cultivator, and threw him into the orchard in front. The others screamed in fright. They didn't expect the array masters to attack them. The young cultivator who was thrown was even more confused. He even forgot to resist. Plop! The young cultivator fell heavily into the orchard. However, the next moment, everyone was stunned. They realized that there wasn't any powerful killing array that they had imagined. Chapter 1184. The young warrior got up from the ground and quickly walked a few steps in the forest before laughing maniacally. Ha ha, I'm fine. I'm not dead. After laughing maniacally, he ignored the others and picked the spirit fruits in a frenzy. He's fine. When the other young warriors saw this, they were overjoyed. Without caring about anything else, they quickly rushed forward. Sure enough, until they entered the orchard and ate the supreme grade spirit fruits, they did not find any danger. Seeing this scene, the elders and array masters were so angry that they vomited blood and trembled all over. Shameful, too shameful. They even had the heart to die. After studying for a long time, They found that there was not even a defensive array in this place. It was laughable that they acted like seniors and showed off in front of the disciples. Now that they thought about it, they were horribly ignorant. Impossible. How can this be? These are supreme-grade spirit fruits. How can there be no defense? The elders and array masters were about to go crazy. This was completely different from what they had imagined. How could they know that the supreme-grade spirit fruits in their eyes were just ordinary fruits in Pine Palace? There was no need for a defensive array. The elders were about to go crazy. They did not expect to be fooled by a snake. Thinking of this, their faces turned red, and they wanted to find a hole to hide in. Damn worm, don't let me see you again. Otherwise, I'll cook you and eat you. Yes, and that Lin Xian. How dare he pick so many spirit fruits in front of us? He deserves to die. The elders and array masters gritted their teeth and said. However, they could not care less about Lin Xian now. Instead, they ran to the orchard in front of them like the wind. Damned little brat, leave some for this old man. These people ran into the orchard and snatched the spirit fruits in a frenzy. There were still a few spirit fruits in the orchard, but most of them were picked by Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. They did not care about the rest. However, at this moment, in the eyes of these people, this was a rare treasure. Lin Xian did not know that the spirit fruits he left behind would cause such a frenzy. At this moment, he and Zhao Shui were heading back to Pine Palace. Along the way, he discovered that the spirit fruits that he had seen in the outside world were all over the place. Moreover, this was only the periphery of the Dark Pine Hall. One could imagine how many good things there would be in the real Dark Pine Hall. Therefore, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui ran quickly. They gave up on ordinary treasures because there were better ones ahead of them. Of course, if they found any special treasures along the way, they would also take them. In short, the harvest on this trip was far greater than the sum of all the treasures before. Suddenly, an abnormally strong fragrance came from the front. This immediately attracted the attention of Lin Xian and the others, especially the snow-white monkey. It was so anxious that it was scratching its ears and cheeks. The crimson dragon was even drooling. It smells so good. This is the real good stuff. Lin Xian was also pleasantly surprised. Just from the fragrance alone, he could imagine the spiritual energy contained within it. At a glance, he could tell that it far surpassed the spiritual fruits he had obtained before. Zhao Shui was also astonished, and there was a trace of excitement in her beautiful eyes. The two of them looked at each other, then quickly moved forward. Not long after, a tall tree appeared in front of them. It was an ancient tree. Its branches were old and withered, resembling a coiled azure dragon. From the looks of it, it was at least a few thousand years old. What was even more surprising were the leaves and fruits on it. Its leaves were silver and shone with a silver light, as if they were made of silver. Its fruits were a fiery red, as if they were burning with fire. The rich fragrance from before was emitted by this ancient tree. This is the silver-leaf fire phoenix tree. The crimson dragon looked ahead with a serious expression. Silver-leaf fire phoenix tree. Hearing this, Lin Xian's pupils constricted as he stared ahead. He had received the inheritance of the Niwa of Gojoseon and the teachings of Lord Alcohol previously. Therefore, he was very familiar with the spiritual herbs in this world. Therefore, he also knew the legend of the silver-leaf fire phoenix. This was an extremely precious ancient tree that was rarely seen even in ancient times. If the silver leaves were plucked to make tea, it could increase a warrior's soul power. One had to know that it was very difficult to increase a warrior's soul power, and there were not many spiritual herbs that could increase one's soul power. This silver-leaf fire phoenix fruit was one of them. The red fruit was called the phoenix fruit. It could temper a warrior's body and increase their spiritual power. It could be said to be an extremely pure source of energy. If the two were used together, It could also increase a warrior's martial soul. Perhaps other spiritual fruits could increase one's soul power and spiritual power, but there were very few things in the world that could increase one's martial soul. However, this silver-leaf fire phoenix fruit could do it. Therefore, in ancient times, this was a treasure that countless warriors went crazy for. Hearing Lin Xian's introduction, Zhao Shui was also shocked. She did not expect to encounter such a precious item here. However, at this moment, a surprised voice came from behind. It's the silver-leaf fire phoenix tree. That's great. We're rich. We're rich. Hearing this voice, Lin Xian's face darkened. He did not expect someone to recognize this ancient tree. Without needing to turn around, several figures had already landed nearby. The person at the front was the middle-aged man from the palace of Ares, Duan Tianlang. The warriors behind him were also experts from the palace of Ares. These people all looked forward, their hearts burning with excitement. There are hundreds of silver leaves and dozens of fire phoenix fruits. We're really rich this time. Duan Tianlang looked forward, extremely excited. The ancient tree was very old. It was not as luxuriant as other ordinary trees. On top of it, there were only hundreds of silver leaves fluttering in the wind. In the middle of the silver leaves, there were dozens of fiery red fruits. It sounded very little, but this was already a lot. One had to know that one could not even find one in the outside world. Duan Tianlang licked his lips, then turned his head and stared at Lin Xian. Kid, get lost. This place has been reserved by the palace of Ares. He naturally did not want to share such good things with others, so his first reaction was to chase Lin Xian and Zhao Shui out. Pfft, F***CKU. We found this place, so it should be ours. If we want to reserve this place, we should be the ones to reserve it. You people from the palace of Ares, get lost from Ben Huang. Otherwise, don't blame Ben Huang for being rude. The crimson dragon stomped its feet in anger. The silver-leaf fire phoenix tree was useful to it, so it would not give it away. Kid, I advise you not to make a mistake. You can't beat us. Moreover, my senior and Yen Feng are nearby. When they arrive, you won't be able to leave even if you want to. Duan Tianlang's expression was fierce as he threatened Lin Xian. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'll help you. At this moment, another loud laugh was heard. Chapter 1185. Brother Duan, don't worry. I'll help you. At this moment, another loud laugh was heard. Then, the people of the Divine Bird Palace quickly flew over from afar. They greeted Duan Tianlang, and then stared at the ancient tree in front of them with fiery eyes. Brother Duan, how about you and I join forces to drive this thief away first? The elder of the Divine Bird Palace said in a deep voice. Of course, I've wanted to do that for a long time. Duan Tianlang nodded. The Divine Bird Palace was an ally of the Palace of Ares, so they could share resources. Moreover, the Palace of Ares was not as strong as the Palace of Ares. When the time came to divide the treasures, the Palace of Ares would take the lion's share. Therefore, Duan Tianlang did not reject the elder of the Divine Bird Palace. The most important thing now was to drive Lin Xian and Zhao Shui out, because the two of them were simply too strange. Previously, in the cave mansion, the great House of Kings fought for it, but in the end, it was taken advantage of by these two thieves. This matter made him feel bitter. Therefore, he had to drive Lin Xian away now. Then, the warriors of the Palace of Ares and the Divine Bird Palace all stared at Lin Xian with evil intentions. Seeing this, the Crimson Dragon was furious. He glared back fiercely. If the other party dared to attack, he would set up a killing array and fight to the death. Zhao Shui's expression was also cold, ready to attack at any time. Lin Xian, on the other hand, was very calm. I'm standing right here. If you want to attack, go ahead. You're courting death. An elder of the Crimson Divine Bird Palace roared, then stretched out his palm, quickly grabbing at Lin Xian. The palm was like a lid covering the sky and the sun, quickly falling in front of him. Accompanying it was a terrifying pressure. The violent palm power was like the roar of 10,000 beasts, causing the whole world to tremble. This palm was very fierce. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace did not hold back. However, Lin Xian remained unmoved. Only when the frightening palm approached did he raise his arm and point a finger. Terrifying sword chi flew out from his fingertips, like thousands of soldiers and horses with a strong killing intent, quickly soared into the sky. The moment the terrifying sword chi appeared, all the surrounding martial artists felt an indescribable pressure. In the next moment, everyone saw the huge palm being split apart by the terrifying sword chi. Then Lin Xian stood with his hands behind his back, while the elders of the Divine Bird Palace retreated, their faces full of shock. Damn it, how is this possible? This brat's strength has increased again. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace was terrified. This was because Lin Xian had previously been able to contend against a 7th-level venerable, but he had definitely not been as calm as he was now. Being able to break through the attacks of 7 venerable ones with a casual attack was simply too shocking. 6th heavenly layer venerable. No wonder. Seems like this kid's cultivation base has improved. The elder of Divine Bird Palace gritted his teeth and said. However, on the other side, Duan Tianlang's face was gloomy. This was exactly what he was worried about. Chun Shi had merely advanced by a single realm, yet his cultivation and combat strength had undergone a tremendous change, and this caused him to be unable to help but feel terrified. If you still want to attack, then use your full strength. Don't hold back anymore. Duan Tianlang reminded him. Don't worry, I know what to do. The elder of Divine Bird Palace nodded heavily. Then a terrifying aura rose from his body. Terrifying spiritual energy surged like a tsunami, making a roaring sound. In the next moment, countless thunderbolts surged out and condensed into a thunderbird in front of him. The violent thunderbolts brought about great destructive power, causing all the martial artists to be terrified. In the face of Lin Xian, the elder of Divine Bird Palace finally summoned his martial soul. Thunderbird martial soul? Lin Xian's lips curled into a disdainful smile. If this is all you've got, I advise you to get out of here as soon as possible. Brat, don't be so arrogant. I'll let you know how powerful I am. The elder of Divine Bird Palace snorted coldly. Then he raised his arm, and endless spiritual energy poured into his martial soul. In the next moment, the Thunderbird martial soul was called. With divine thunder all over the sky, it quickly rushed toward Lin Xian. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian snorted coldly. In his body, endless purple-white thunderbolts surged out and condensed into a humanoid lightning. This humanoid lightning was purple-white and surrounded by electric light, as if the thunder god was roaring. Following Lin Xian's movement, the humanoid lightning threw a punch. Suddenly, the whole space collapsed. Countless thunderbolts covered the sky and the earth, instantly covering the whole sky. Although they were both thunder martial souls, Lin Xian's thunderbolts were composed of the 6,000-year-old purple thunder bamboo and the mysterious Yin thunder. Its power was definitely not something that the elder of Divine Bird Palace could resist. Therefore, without any surprise, the Thunderbird martial soul of Divine Bird Red was blown away by the punch. The elder of Divine Bird Palace turned pale and could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. How is this possible? He surpassed me in thunderbolts. The elder's face was full of horror and disbelief. He was the descendant of the 3-headed crimson bloodbird, and the 3-headed crimson bloodbird was best at 3 attributes: wind, fire, and thunder. What he cultivated was the thunder attribute. Not only that, but he had also condensed the Thunderbird martial soul. It could be said that no one in the same level could beat him in thunderbolts. However, now a boy in the sixth heaven of the Venerable Realm was not only stronger than him in terms of combat strength, but also in terms of thunderbolts. He could not believe it. Hearing the elder of Divine Bird Palace's question, Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. How can a frog at the bottom of a well know the vastness of the world? That punch just now was a lesson for you. If you want to continue to court death, I can help you. Feeling the killing intent from Lin Xian, the elder of Divine Bird Palace trembled. He did not expect that he would feel fear in the face of a young junior. Although he did not want to believe it, this fear was real. Therefore, although his face was very ugly, he did not dare to make a move again. Since the elder of Divine Bird Palace did not make a move, Duan Tianlang was even more unlikely to make a move. From the battle just now, he had seen Lin Xian's combat strength. Lin Xian was not weaker than him, and was even stronger than him. Therefore, even if he made a move, he was not confident. Taking a deep breath, Duan Tianlang said slowly, "Forget it, ignore this boy. Our target is the ancient tree." When these words came out, all the warriors around were shocked. This was because they could hear the change in Duan Tianlang's attitude. Previously, he was very arrogant and wanted to drive Lin Xian out. But now he had to give in. This was too unbelievable. Had the boy in front of them grown to such a terrifying extent, even the elders of the House of Kings had to bow their heads? Thinking of this, everyone looked at Lin Xian with reverence in their eyes. Seeing that the people of Palace of Aries and Divine Bird Palace were about to attack the ancient tree, Lin Xian did not stop them, and even showed a hint of mockery. "Lin Xian, do you want to stop them?" Zhao Shui asked from the side. "No, we just need to watch the show. Don't worry, that fruit is not that easy to take." Chapter 1186. Duan Tianlang heaved a sigh of relief when he saw that Lin Xian and the other man did not stop them. Then he regained his confidence again. Although the other party was powerful, there were only two of them. On the other hand, they were two top forces. If they really fought, he could guarantee that the other party would not be able to gain any advantage. Therefore, in his opinion, the reason why Lin Xian did not stop them was because they were powerful. He did not even think about the ancient tree at all. "You guys go up and pick all the silver leaves and spirit fruits," Duan Tianlang and the elders of Divine Bird Palace ordered. Immediately, the young warriors walked out quickly with ecstasy on their faces. So what if Lin Xian was powerful? He could only watch them snatch the spirit fruits. They knew a thing or two about the effects of the spirit fruits. Moreover, there were many of them here. If they performed well, they might be able to get some. Thinking of this, the young warriors became even more excited. They sped up and strode forward. There were even two young cultivators at the 6th level of the Honorable Realm who wanted to snatch the spirit fruit before everyone else. However, just as the two warriors approached, the ancient tree in front of them suddenly shook. The branches seemed to have turned into the sharpest divine spear and instantly pierced through the two warriors. The attack was so sudden that the two warriors did not even have time to react before they were pierced by the branches. Just as they were about to struggle and resist, a strange power suddenly came from the branches and sucked their flesh and blood essence dry. Plop, plop, two sounds were heard. Then, two dried corpses fell to the ground. This scene shocked everyone. Those warriors who wanted to pick the fruits all stopped in their tracks. Not only that, but everyone had a horrified expression on their faces, as if they had seen a ghost. It could not be helped. This was too terrifying. The ancient tree that they thought was within their reach had launched an attack so fiercely. In an instant, it had pierced through 2 6th heaven venerables. A one-hit kill, clean and tidy. Behind them, Lin Xian sneered. Just as he had guessed, the spirit fruits were not so easy to pick, but Duan Tianlang and the elder of Divine Bird Palace narrowed their eyes, and their faces changed. The reason why they asked their disciples to do it was because it was inconvenient for them to do such a thing with their status. But they didn't expect such a thing to happen. Soon, Duan Tianlang recovered from his shock and quickly shouted, "Everyone, back off." In fact, there was no need for him to shout, as those young martial artists had already retreated. They simply did not dare to go up again. When all the warriors retreated to their sides, Duan Tianlang and the elders of Divine Bird Palace quietly breathed a sigh of relief, but soon their expressions became very ugly. Judging from the ancient tree's attack, even a 7th-level Venerate might not be able to safely pluck it. It seems that we've made a mistake this time. Duan Tianlang took a deep breath, his voice extremely solemn. When he turned around and saw Lin Xian's mocking expression, he was instantly enraged. Damn it, I was tricked. Judging from the other party's expression, it was as if he knew that there was danger ahead of time. However, the other party didn't say anything and didn't even try to stop them. It was obvious that they were trying to trick them. At the thought of this, Duan Tianlang's expression became extremely ferocious. "Kid, don't be so smug. Do you think this can stump us? Let me tell you, the Palace of Aries is much more powerful than you think. Believe it or not, you won't be able to get a single spirit fruit on this tree." Duan Tianlang roared. "You don't have to worry about whether I can get the spirit fruit or not. I'm more curious about whether you can get the spirit fruit or not." Lin Xian sneered with his hands behind his back. "Humph, don't be so arrogant. I'll open your eyes today." Duan Tianlang snorted coldly, then turned around and stared at the ancient tree in front of him. In the next moment, he roared and quickly attacked. His tall figure exploded with an incomparable amount of energy. A ray of light flashed, and a huge hand that covered the sky grabbed forward. Duan Tianlang was indeed powerful. Even among the 7th-level Venerates, he was a very powerful existence. The huge hand formed by spiritual energy directly enveloped the entire ancient tree, and even formed a sealed space trying to uproot the ancient tree. The ancient tree sensed danger, and all the branches on its body began to tremble. Every branch emitted an incomparable amount of light, as if they were spears of the demon god, rapidly piercing into the void. Rumble! There was an intense collision sound. Countless branches turned into sharp spears and ruthlessly pierced into the huge hand of spiritual energy, creating a loud clanging sound. Then, countless holes were pierced into the huge hand of spiritual energy. In the end, it couldn't hold on any longer and turned into spiritual energy again, dissipating into the sky. The hundreds of spears turned into branches once again and quickly dropped down, drifting with the wind. What? It blocked it! How is this possible? The martial artists behind were stunned. They couldn't believe that an ancient tree could block the full attack of a 7th-level Venerate. Even Duan Tianlang was shocked. He didn't expect his attack to be so easily blocked by the other party. It seemed that the ancient tree was more difficult to deal with than he had imagined. At this moment, Lin Xian burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, I'm dying of laughter. Is this the strength of the Palace of Aries? It's really an eye-opener." Hearing Lin Xian's mockery, Duan Tianlang's face became extremely ferocious. At this moment, the elder of the Divine Bird Palace strode forward and said in a deep voice, "Brother Duan, I'll lend you a hand." "All right." Duan Tianlang nodded heavily and his eyes lit up again. He ignored Lin Xian and stared at the ancient tree in front of him again. This time, he was going to summon his martial soul and attack with all his might. Duan Tianlang's martial soul was a demonic wolf with green wings. It was very valiant. When the demonic wolf appeared, It immediately exploded with an extremely violent power, as if a peerless beast had awakened. On the other side, the elder of the divine bird palace also summoned his Thunderbird martial soul. The two of them joined forces and quickly attacked forward. This was the attack of two 7th-level Venerates. Its power was unimaginable. In an instant, a terrifying pressure filled the entire space. If this wasn't the Pine Palace, the entire ground would have collapsed. Even so, the terrifying energy caused the entire ground to tremble slightly. The Thunderbird flew, bringing with it unparalleled thunder and lightning. Huge thunderbolts quickly descended from the sky and bombarded the surroundings. Even a 7th-level Venerate would find it difficult to block such an attack. In an instant, countless thunderbolts blasted towards the ancient tree in front of them. At the same time, the winged demonic wolf also ran with all its might. It opened its mouth and spat out a gray gust of wind. Ordinary mountains and rivers couldn't withstand this gust of wind at all. They would probably be turned into ashes in an instant. Two terrifying balls of energy soared into the sky like rocks piercing through the sky. The scene was extremely terrifying. Chapter 1187. That's great. With the two elders attacking with all their might, we'll definitely be able to take down the ancient tree. That's for sure. I'm afraid only an 8th-level Venerable can resist such a terrifying attack. Even if the ancient tree is powerful, it's definitely not at this level. Behind them, a group of martial artists and disciples were extremely excited. However, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes with a sneer on his lips. He did not think that the two's attacks would pose any fatal threat to the ancient tree. Sure enough, the ancient tree would not just sit and wait for death. It sensed the threat and immediately emitted an extremely bright light. The silver leaves in the sky swayed and immediately formed 9 silver snakes. They danced wildly in the air and quickly resisted the terrifying lightning bombardment. Meanwhile, the red fruit kept moving and formed phoenixes. They were bathed in flames and quickly rushed toward the earth demon wolf. Countless energy collided and then smashed apart. The entire space was flooded in an instant. The disciples' expressions changed drastically as they retreated. They could not withstand the impact of the energy at all. However, Lin Xian did not retreat. Countless sword qi rushed out of his body and quickly destroyed the violent flow and energy aftermath. The air around him was very quiet. There was no trace of energy riot at all. The entire space was filled with violent flows and was filled with infinite danger. However, Lin Xian's surroundings were terrifyingly quiet. There was no trace of energy riot. When everything vanished into thin air, the martial artists in the distance were stunned. This was because Duan Tianlang and the elder who were fighting the ancient tree were retreating in an extremely embarrassing manner. Both of them had suffered some injuries. What? Did they fail? Seeing this, everyone panicked. If the two experts could not even get the spirit fruit, it would be very difficult for them to do so. Duan Tianlang and the elder from the Divine Bird Palace were even more shocked. They looked ahead in a daze. Then they shook their heads and sighed as they opened their palms. There was a silver leaf in each of their palms. This was the spoils of war that they had used all their strength to get. However, they did not feel any joy. Instead, they felt a sense of horror. After all, both of them were 7th-level venerables. Moreover, they were not ordinary 7th-level venerables. The two of them were very powerful when they joined forces. However, they only managed to get 2 silver leaves and even suffered some injuries. It had to be said that the tree demon in front of them was too powerful, far beyond their imagination. They even suspected that Lin Xian already knew about this, which was why he didn't stop them. Thinking of this, Duan Tianlang looked back. When he saw the mocking smile on Lin Xian's face, he was even more certain of his suspicions. Damn it, this brat already knew. As expected with that kid's character. How could he not make a move? It turns out that he already knew that the tree demon ahead was very difficult to deal with. The elder of the divine bird palace also had an ugly expression. However, at this moment, Lin Xian said slowly, "The performance of the two of you is really unsightly." Dignified 7th-level experts and elders of top forces actually only managed to obtain 2 leaves. If I were you, I wouldn't have the face to live in this world. I advise you to find 2 pieces of tofu and knock yourself to death so that you don't embarrass your family here. What did you say? Brat, you're courting death. Duan Tianlang and the elder of the divine bird palace were furious. Although they did not succeed, they would not allow themselves to be ridiculed like this. What did I say? What I said is the truth. Lin Xian sneered. You want to occupy this place without any ability? You're really boasting shamelessly. Both of you, get lost. Don't delay my attack. Hearing this, Duan Tianlang and the elder of the divine bird palace trembled with anger. Even the disciples' faces darkened. Duan Tianlang roared and was about to rush up to Lin Xian. However, the elder of the divine bird palace held him back and said coldly, Brother Duan, don't be rash. That tree demon is so powerful. I'm afraid only 8th-level venerables can contend with it. No matter how powerful that brat is, he can't reach 8th-level venerables' combat strength. Hearing this, Duan Tianlang calmed down. Humph, I'd like to see what ability this brat has. How dare he mock us? After saying this, he and the elder of the divine bird palace retreated and watched coldly. The disciples of the 2 forces sneered. They did not believe that Lin Xian could be stronger than their 2 elders. Let this brat act. Let's see how he ends up when he fails. What a joke. Who does he think he is? How dare he try to subdue such a terrifying tree demon? What shameless boasting. Just watch. He'll definitely fail. No one believed that Lin Xian would succeed. Even Zhao Shui looked doubtful. Lin Xian, do you have a way? If we join forces, we should be stronger than the 2 of them. However, I'm afraid we won't be able to take much. However, we can still take 5 or 6 portions. Lin Xian smiled and replied, We don't have to join forces for the time being. I have a way. For some reason, seeing Lin Xian smile made Zhao Shui feel more at ease. This was because she had seen too many miracles happen to Lin Xian. Therefore, this time, she chose to believe in Lin Xian. Brat, can you do it? Do you need me to set up a formation to help you? At the side, the Crimson Dragon was also worried. No need. Let me try first. Hearing Lin Xian's words, the Crimson Dragon hurriedly explained, Brat, you must be careful. If I'm not wrong, that ancient tree should be a tree demon. And it's very powerful. I'm afraid it's at the level of an 8-star demon general. Otherwise, it's impossible that the 2 of them couldn't even subdue it. Now, it seems that only an 8th-level supremacy can subdue that guy. However, if we join forces, we might be able to get a lot of spirit fruits. However, Lin Xian still shook his head. He naturally knew that the ancient tree in front of him was a tree demon. Moreover, it was an extremely powerful tree demon. In terms of combat power, no one could compete with it. However, it was precisely because it was a tree demon that he had a way to subdue it. In the next moment, he stepped forward and looked coldly in front of him. I know that you've activated your spiritual intelligence and can understand what I'm saying. Hand over half of the silver leaves and spirit fruits obediently, and I can spare your life. What? Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They thought that Lin Xian would attack the tree demon forcefully, but they did not expect him to threaten it. This brat must have been kicked in the head by a donkey. If such threats were effective, would he even have a chance? Ha ha ha! I'm dying of laughter. I already knew that he couldn't do it, but I didn't expect him to be so weird as to threaten the tree demon. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. That tree demon isn't even afraid of 2 7th-level supremacies. Why would it be afraid of the threat of a 6th-level brat? Chapter 1188. The group of people looked at Lin Xian and laughed maniacally. Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace were also puzzled. When they saw Lin Xian's confidence, they thought that he had some powerful killer move. They did not expect to see such a comical scene. Humph. I was wondering what it was. It's just a clown trying to please the crowd. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace sneered. An ant will always be an ant. How can you expect it to create a miracle? Duan Tian Lang also sneered. How dare you go against the palace of Ares with this level of skill? You're courting death. Even Zhao Shui and the Crimson Dragon were dumbfounded. They did not expect Lin Xian to threaten them. Zhao Shui's mouth twitched slightly. Her expression was very strange. The Crimson Dragon covered its face with its claws and wailed. Shameful, this is too shameful. This kid is hopeless. As far as it was concerned, Lin Xian's actions were simply foolish to the extreme. He had specifically warned Lin Xian that the tree demon was very powerful. He did not expect it to have no effect. Lin Xian's words were too shocking, so everyone was stunned for a moment. However, no one believed that Lin Xian was telling the truth. Thus, many people had mocking expressions on their faces. Even the ancient tree in front of him was enraged when it heard this. An unusually violent and terrifying aura was emitted from the ancient tree. Suddenly, the entire space shook violently. When the warriors in the distance felt this aura, the mocking expressions on their faces disappeared. Instead, they were all horrified. This aura was too terrifying. It was far beyond what they could withstand. Even Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace changed their expressions. Fortunately, they did not continue to attack. Otherwise, they would not have ended up well. This aura made both of them tremble in fear. Ha ha, this kid is dead for sure. He angered the tree demon in front. Even an 8th-level honorable would not be able to withstand this aura, let alone this kid. Hey, let him pretend. This time, he screwed up. Even though the disciples were terrified, they were laughing coldly in their hearts. They wanted to see how Lin Xian would be able to create a clone in the face of certain death. However, Lin Xian wasn't worried at all. He looked at the angry tree demon in front of him and sneered. Then he formed a seal with both hands, and a black ball of light quickly appeared in front of him. The black ball of light flipped and turned into a small black cauldron. That small black cauldron was very simple and unadorned, and there were all kinds of strange beasts carved on it. It gave off a mysterious feeling. The appearance of the black cauldron seemed to have caused the treant in front to feel uneasy. The treant let out an angry roar, and then countless branches turned into divine spears that quickly pierced forward. Immediately, light soared into the sky, shaking space and time. Although they were far away, everyone could feel the terrifying power within the light. Even Duan Tianlang and the elder of the Divine Bird Palace felt their eyelids twitch and their faces changed. Countless divine, rainbow-like lights pierced through the void and quickly pierced toward Lin Xian, enveloping him in an instant. However, in the face of such a terrifying attack, Lin Xian's expression didn't change. He only activated the small black cauldron in front of him and shot out a jet black light. Buzz. The small black cauldron emitted a simple and deep sound. This sound seemed to have a magical quality, and it clearly sounded in everyone's hearts. When the treant in front heard this sound, it was as if it had been struck by lightning, and its entire trunk kept shaking. Suddenly, The thousands of mountain-like spear lights disappeared without a trace. What? They disappeared. Seeing this, everyone was stunned. They didn't expect a sound to be able to make thousands of divine spears disappear. This was too incredible. Not only that, but what made them even more shocked was that the ancient tree in front of them was shaking rapidly, as if it had encountered something terrible. Lin Xian held the small black cauldron in his hand and shot out another jet black light into the ancient tree in front of him. Suddenly, the ancient tree in front of them shook even more violently, as if it would collapse at any time. Not only that, an old face appeared on the trunk of the tree, and its voice was filled with anxiety. "Stop, stop, stop, stop fighting. I admit defeat." "What? Admit defeat?" The powerful and terrifying Treant actually admitted defeat? How is this possible? Everyone was stunned and couldn't believe it. However, what surprised them was yet to come. The Treant said again, "As long as you stop, I'm willing to give you half of my leaves and the fire phoenix fruit." Hearing this, everyone's mind went blank and they were dumbfounded. Especially Duan Tianlang and the elders of the Divine Bird Palace. They were even more stunned. Before this, they had fought so hard and only managed to get 2 leaves. Now Lin Xian only took out a small black cauldron, and the ancient tree in front of them was willing to give up half of its leaves and fruits. The difference between the two was like heaven and earth. The disciples were even more dumbfounded, as if they were watching a myth. Zhao Shui's beautiful eyes were also wide open. She didn't expect Lin Xian to have such a trick up his sleeve. The Crimson Dragon stared at the small black cauldron suspiciously. Lin Xian was very satisfied. When he discovered the ancient tree in front of him, he had already discussed with Zero in his body. In the end, Zero readily agreed to help, but he wanted to collect some interest, which was some silver leaf liquid and fire phoenix fruit. That was the reason for the previous scene. "Okay, Rosalong, Little White, the 2 of you go and search." Soon, the Crimson Dragon and Little White Monkey flew forward like lightning, and then the 2 of them began to collect the silver leaf and fire phoenix fruit. Seeing this scene, the surrounding martial artists' faces burned with passion. This was an absolute treasure. It was something that could increase the power of one's martial soul. If they missed this opportunity, they might not be able to find it again in the future. Hence, they were unwilling to give up. Finally, an elder of the palace of Ares couldn't help but make a move. Duan Tianlang didn't stop him because she also wanted to test if she could succeed. If this elder succeeded, she would lead the people of the palace of Ares to attack quickly. However, this elder was only halfway out when he was whipped back by the tree demon in front of him with a branch. That elder's spirit armor was completely shattered, and the flesh around his wound rolled up, revealing his white bones. Just one whip was enough to severely injure a 7th heaven honorable. This scene made countless martial artists gasp. After seeing the power of the tree demon, those martial artists didn't dare to make a move. They could only watch as Lin Xian and the rest collected the fire phoenix fruit. This scene made them extremely jealous. Soon, the Crimson Dragon and Little White Monkey collected half of the fire phoenix fruit, and then the 2 of them quickly returned. Seeing that the other party didn't kill them, the tree demon heaved a sigh of relief. On the other hand, Lin Xian was cheering as he shared the silver leaf and fire phoenix fruit. Chapter 1189. Everyone had a share, but the biggest beneficiary was Ling Xian, followed by the 10,000 bee sting. Zhao Shui, the Crimson Dragon, and the others had also received some. It could be said that the harvest this time was very rich. With these silver leaves and fire phoenix fruits, the strength of Lin Xian and the others would increase again. The Crimson Dragon would recover a lot of cultivation, while Lin Xian and Zhao Shui could use this to strengthen the power of their martial souls. Especially Lin Xian, he could revive the Great Dragon Sword Soul again. Once the Great Dragon Sword Soul was revived to the level of a 7th level venerable, his combat strength would increase greatly, reaching a very terrifying level. At that time, even if he encountered a monster at the level of the tree demon, he would not need the 10,000 beast ding. He could defeat it with his own strength. Lin Xian and the others were sharing the spirit fruits, while Duan Tianlang and the people of the Divine Bird Palace were gnashing their teeth in anger. That was half of the silver leaves and fire phoenix fruits. If they obtained them, their cultivation would definitely increase by another level. Therefore, how could they not be jealous? At this moment, they looked at Lin Xian like red-eyed rabbits, staring straight ahead. They could not defeat the ancient tree demon, but this did not mean that they did not dare to attack Lin Xian. The tree demon was an 8-star demon general, and they could not defeat it. However, Lin Xian only had 2 people on his side, and their strength was comparable to theirs. They had more people on their side, and if they attacked with all their strength, they might be able to defeat the tree demon. Thinking of this, Duan Tianlang was excited. Then he glanced at the Divine Bird Palace and saw that their eyes were also red, and he immediately grinned. Needless to say, the other party must have the same idea as him. So when their eyes met, they knew what each other was thinking. Keep a distance, don't get too close to the tree demon, or it will be inconvenient for us to attack. Duan Tianlang quickly instructed. Suddenly, those warriors slowly retreated, but they retreated in a very orderly manner, forming a semicircle, directly blocking all of Lin Xian's escape routes. In other words, no matter which direction Lin Xian fled in, he would encounter them unless he chose not to run. Lin Xian naturally noticed Duan Tianlang's actions and immediately sneered. What? You can't get it yourself, so you want to snatch it from me? Brat, you're too greedy. You actually dared to take half of the spiritual fruits. Duan Tianlang snorted coldly. If you know what's good for you, hand over the spirit fruit and the silver leaf, and I can let you live. Otherwise, this will be your burial ground today. Humph, what big words! I'm afraid you don't have the ability. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a terrifying intense sword from his body. Zhao Shui's expression was as cold as ice. 2 rays of cold light shot out from her eyes. She didn't say anything, but her actions still showed that she would fight side by side with Lin Xian. The Crimson Dragon and the Snow-White Monkey were leisurely watching the show while eating spiritual fruits. These battles didn't require them to take part in them. Come at me together. None of you are a match for me in a one-on-one fight. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous, and his eyes shone like sword radiance. His entire body exuded a sharp sword aura, making him look like a sword immortal. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Tianlang snorted coldly, then said to the elder of the Divine Bird Palace beside him, I'll leave people to deal with that brat. Divine Bird Palace, take care of that woman. This time, don't hold back. Don't worry, I won't let them escape this time. The elder of the Divine Bird Palace also revealed a ferocious smile. Duan Tianlang nodded with satisfaction, then waved his hand and led the powerful venerables in the team to rush forward. In addition to him, there were 4 warriors at the peak of the 6th heaven of the venerable realm. When the 4 of them worked together, their combat strength was not inferior to a 7th heaven of the venerable realm. As for the other warriors, Duan Tianlang didn't let them go. This was because he had to bring out elite warriors to deal with Lin Xian. Otherwise, the others would only cause trouble. Although there weren't many people, he was quite confident because he had 2 7th heaven of the venerable realm on his side. He didn't believe that a 6th heaven of the venerable realm kid could take them on. Although Lin Xian had taken out a small black cauldron to scare the tree demon, in Duan Tianlang's opinion, The small black cauldron only seemed to be effective against demonic beasts. Therefore, he wasn't that worried. In the next moment, Duan Tian Lang roared angrily, and a dazzling light burst out from his eyes. Beside him, the demonic wolf, martial soul, quickly condensed. With a wave of his hand, the earth demonic wolf roared, and let out a terrifying roar that shook heaven and earth. Seeing that Duan Tianlang had summoned the demonic wolf martial soul, Lin Xian snorted coldly and quickly summoned his human-shaped lightning martial soul. Then, the two martial souls quickly clashed in the air, and a violent energy burst out. It was as deafening as the waves of the sea. On the other side, the 4/6 heaven of the venerable realm quickly combined and formed a formation. Then, they quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. This formation was very mysterious. It was a sword formation, and when combined, it exploded with power that wasn't inferior to a 7th heaven of the venerable realm. At this moment, Lin Xian was still controlling his martial soul to fight with Duan Tianlang. Under normal circumstances, he wouldn't have the extra energy to deal with the 4-peak warriors. On the other hand, Zhao Shui was restrained by the red divine bird and couldn't help at all. Therefore, in everyone's opinion, Lin Xian was completely in danger. However, Lin Xian's expression was rather calm, and he didn't panic at all. Beside him, the 4 different attributes of wind, lightning, metal, and fire rolled quickly and condensed into 4 light swords. The 4 light swords had different auras, but without exception, they were all filled with murderous aura. They were like shocking dragons that made people tremble in fear. As Lin Xian fought with Duan Tianlang, he stretched out his left hand and drew a line in the air. Suddenly, the 4 light swords beside him made a clanging sound. One by one, they soared into the sky and slashed forward. The 4 different powers of wind, lightning, metal, and fire exploded rapidly, and a powerful force blasted towards the 4-peak warriors. Under the control of Lin Xian, the 4 light swords exploded with boundless energy. Terrifying sword shadows tore through the sky and slashed the bodies of the 4-peak warriors. After one strike, the 4-peak 6th heavenly layer martial artists spat out mouthfuls of blood and flew backwards. The 4 light swords followed like shadows, leaving streaks of sword radiance in the air as they slashed down once again. In just 2 moves, the formation formed by the 4/6 heaven venerables was destroyed, and the 4-peak warriors were severely injured. There's no need to send people with such abilities. They're meaningless to me. Lin Xian's voice was cold. With a wave of his hand, he summoned the 4 light swords back to his side. The 4 light swords quickly circled around him, forming a sword screen for defense. Brat, you're courting deaths. When Duan Tianlang saw this, he was mad with anger. He didn't expect the sword formation to be defeated so quickly. Moreover, what shocked him even more was that Lin Xian had maintained a calm demeanor from the beginning to the end of the battle. This caused him to have no confidence at all. Chapter 1190. No, I can't let this drag on any longer. Otherwise, his aura will become stronger and stronger. Duan Tianlang's face was gloomy. He knew that the battle was not only a contest of combat power, but also of aura. If he allowed his opponent's aura to grow without limit, he would be in danger. Therefore, he decided to use some of his ultimate skills. In the next moment, Duan Tianlang waved his palm. Mysterious trajectories were drawn in the air. Then, 3 dazzling green blades quickly condensed in the air. Following Duan Tianlang's movements, they were like blades of death as they quickly slashed towards Lin Xian. Meanwhile, his left hand fused with the demon wolf martial soul beside him. Then, he punched out. Suddenly, a destructive force quickly surged forward. Feeling this force, All the martial artists trembled involuntarily. However, their faces were filled with ecstasy. This was because they thought that Lin Xian would definitely not be able to resist this force. As long as Lin Xian was killed, those things would be theirs. Thinking of this, they all became excited. Facing Duan Tianlang's terrifying attack, Lin Xian stood where he was. He did not dodge, but his eyes were brighter than lightning. He pulled out the Lone Star sword from his back and quickly slashed twice. One sword slashed towards the 3 blades in the sky, while the other sword stabbed towards the wolf head fist in front of him. These 2 swords contained the power of the dragon sword soul. Their combat power was extremely strong. Therefore, when the 2 swords collided, the entire sky exploded violently. The energy was like a raging wave that slapped in all directions and sent all the martial artists in the distance flying. Duan Tianlang bore the brunt of it. His 2 attacks were both blasted away by Lin Xian's sword qi. He was also hit by the sword qi and was sent flying. There was a 1-foot-long wound on his abdomen that almost cut him in half. What? How can this be? Duan Tianlang covered the wound on his abdomen in horror and quickly retreated. It was too terrifying. 2 swords had shattered his attack and even injured him. This was something that he had never encountered before. One must know that even though he was not a peak 7th level Venerable Realm expert, he was still very powerful. Very few people of the same cultivation level could defeat him, let alone defeat him so easily. However, his current opponent was not a peak 7th level martial artist, but a youth whose cultivation was merely at the 6th level. He couldn't help but be terrified. What? Elder Duan is injured? Damn it, I don't believe it. I must be dreaming. How is this possible? Careless. It must be Elder Duan's carelessness that allowed that kid to succeed. In the distance, those martial artists crawled up from the ground. When they saw the injured Elder Duan, they were immediately terrified. However, no matter how much they howled, they could not change the fact in front of them. On the other side, the elder of Divine Bird Palace saw this scene and felt his scalp tingle. He did not dare to fight anymore and quickly retreated with his people. It couldn't be helped. The scene in front of him was too frightening. Duan Tianlang was not inferior to him and was even slightly stronger than him. However, at this moment, he was injured by 2 swords. This was simply too shocking. His battle with Zhao Shui wasn't going well either. The woman in white was suppressing him. It wouldn't be long before he was defeated. Therefore, he had no choice but to retreat. You want to snatch the treasure? You're not qualified. If you don't want to die, scram. Lin Xian shouted coldly and turned to leave. However, at this moment, another cold voice came from behind. Kid, you're very arrogant. How dare you injure someone from Palace of Ares? If you don't hand over the treasure today, don't leave. This voice was unusually cold and emotionless. It was filled with endless murderous intent. Hearing this voice, Duan Tianlang's originally frightened expression eased a little. The disciples around him also quickly cheered. Senior Brother Yan, that's Senior Brother Yan's voice. Great, Senior Brother Yanfeng is here. That kid is definitely dead. Pumph, how dare he injure our people? Senior Brother, Yan will not let him go. A group of disciples from Palace of Ares sneered. Lin Xian heard the voice from behind and frowned. He naturally knew that Yanfeng was here. However, so what if he was here? The current him was not afraid of Yanfeng. Therefore, without any hesitation, Lin Xian swung his sword and slashed behind him. The long sword swept across the sky, and a huge sword qi shone brightly. It was like a shocking rainbow as it slashed down fiercely. You're courting death. The voice was enraged. He did not expect that Lin Xian would dare to attack. Then, the void split open and a dazzling blade radiance quickly swept across the sky and collided with the sword Qi. The collision of the blade and sword created a terrifying wave of energy that surged in all directions. Suddenly, the entire void trembled, and terrifying cracks appeared. "Kid, you're too arrogant. Today, I'll make you pay with your life." Yan Feng's face was cold, and his eyes were like lightning. It was extremely terrifying. "Say that after you've succeeded. If you want the treasure, bring it on." Facing the famous Yan Feng, Lin Xian did not care. He waved his hand, and his expression was filled with boundless battle intent. Then, without waiting for Yan Feng to attack, Lin Xian strode forward. He was very fast and arrived in front of Yan Feng in one step. The Lone Star sword in his hand slashed down fiercely. In his left hand, a thunderbolt sword quickly condensed and slashed toward Yan Feng's waist. In an instant, two sword radiances flashed and attacked Yan Feng's vital points. Seeing this, Duan Tianlang and the elders of the Divine Bird Palace changed their expressions. Their eyes were filled with fear because they realized that if they were in Yan Feng's position, they would not be able to dodge these two sword attacks. Thinking of this, they felt a lingering fear, especially Duan Tianlang. His body could not help but tremble. He realized that Lin Xian did not use his full strength when fighting with him. Otherwise, he would have been a dead man. The surrounding warriors were even more nervous. They did not expect that Lin Xian would still dare to attack Yan Feng. Moreover, he used two killing moves at once. This made them worried for Yan Feng. However, Yan Feng's reputation was not undeserved. His strength was far above Duan Tianlang's. Therefore, in the face of these two fatal attacks, he was not nervous at all. He waved the long saber in his hand and formed two saber radiances. He quickly slashed out diagonally. The saber slashed the Lone Star sword. As for the thunderbolt sword at his waist, he chose to punch it. In an instant, he received Lin Xian's attack. However, Lin Xian's face was calm. He did not have any emotional reaction because of these two attacks. He knew very well that these two attacks would not be able to kill Yan Feng. Otherwise, he would not be Yan Feng. Lin Xian did not retreat. Instead, he strode forward and quickly flew into the distance. At the same time, the long sword in his hand stabbed out again. Every attack was extremely sharp and aimed at Yan Feng's vital points. Chapter 1191. Yan Feng roared as he brandished his long saber. Countless saber shadows danced in the air, blocking all the sword Qi. However, the sword Qi contained the power of the great dragon sword soul. It was incomparably powerful, so even if Yan Feng blocked it all, the terrifying power still caused his long blade to tremble. The entire space was submerged and countless terrifying cracks spread out. However, he was still extremely powerful, so he managed to neutralize all of Lin Xian's sword Qi. Yan Feng was able to block Lin Xian's sword Qi. If it were Duan Tianlang and the others, they would have died long ago. However, although Yan Feng managed to block the sword Qi, his expression was very ugly. Not long ago, he was still an ant, but now he was actually a threat to him. This made him unable to calm down. Although he did not know why Lin Xian was so strong, in his opinion, the young man in front of him was a strong enemy. He had to get rid of him as soon as possible. Otherwise, things would be difficult to control in the future. Therefore, Yan Feng did not plan to hold back. Streaks of dazzling saber aura formed on his body, sweeping in all directions. The long saber in his hand also seemed to have become a sharp and unstoppable killing weapon. Countless saber lights were like the waves of the sea. They were strange and terrifying. That's the 8-ocean abyssal saber. Seeing this, the disciples of the Palace of Gods of War exclaimed, 8-ocean abyssal saber. That's an Earth-class martial art. Senior brother Yan Feng is serious. It seems that Lin Xian is dead for sure. Seeing Yen Feng use the Earth-class martial art, the 8-ocean abyssal saber, hope rose in everyone's hearts. The 8-ocean abyssal saber was an Earth-class martial art. It was an ultimate martial art of the Palace of Gods of War. This saber art was not powerful, but it was very difficult to practice. However, Yen Feng was talented and had mastered the 8-ocean abyssal saber to 70% at such a young age. Usually 50% was the initial stage, but Yen Feng had mastered it to 70%, which was beyond the initial stage. He was not far from the greater stage. Once the Earth-class saber art was used, its power was immediately revealed. Endless saber lights bloomed, and a terrifying aura covered the sky. They quickly slashed towards Lin Xian. This time, there was finally a change in Lin Xian's expression. This was because his opponent's saber technique was simply too powerful. However, he was only moved and he wasn't afraid because he also had Earth rank martial arts. Moreover, he didn't think that he would lose to his opponent in the usage of Earth rank martial arts. Therefore, at the next moment, Lin Xian brandished his Lone Star sword and performed the Gale lightning sword technique. A firmament sword shadow covered the sky, and a terrifying aura crushed down on everything. Lin Xian slashed out with his long sword, and a bright light illuminated the entire sky. Sword chi against saber light. Earth rank martial arts against Earth rank martial arts. The two of them were evenly matched, slaughtering in all directions. In an instant, the entire void was submerged. Terrifying black holes appeared in many places, as if they could devour everything. What? He blocked it? How is this possible? The surrounding disciples were all stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be able to block Yen Feng's Ocean Abyss 8 sabers. This was simply inconceivable. One had to know that Yen Feng was an exceptionally powerful 7th Heaven Honorable Realm cultivator, and he had an Earth rank martial arts. Not many people could resist him. However, Lin Xian, a 6th Heaven Honorable Realm cultivator, actually blocked it. Damn it, how is this possible? The disciples of the Palace of Gods of War had ugly expressions. Duan Tianlang's expression was also ferocious because he could also see that Lin Xian's sword technique was also an Earth rank martial arts. However, this wasn't enough to shock him, because he already knew that Lin Xian had an Earth rank martial arts. What shocked him was that Lin Xian's comprehension of Earth rank martial arts was actually not inferior to Yen Feng's. This was simply unbelievable. One had to know that Yen Feng was exceptionally talented, and he was also an extremely dazzling existence among the younger disciples of the Palace of Gods of War. Very few people in the younger generation could compete with Yen Feng. Yen Feng was even more shocked. He originally thought that he could kill Lin Xian with his Ocean Abyss 8 sabers, but he didn't expect Lin Xian to block it. Especially those huge swords that soared into the sky. They weren't inferior to his saber technique at all. Damn brat! Die! Yen Feng roared and swung his saber with all his might. The opponent in front of him was the strangest one he had ever met. So, no matter what, he couldn't give Lin Xian any room to grow. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before he couldn't suppress Lin Xian at all. He couldn't allow such a threat to exist, and Lin Xian was someone that the higher-ups of the Palace of Gods of War had ordered to kill. Therefore, Yen Feng had to kill him, no matter what. Brat, I have to admit that you're very strong, but unfortunately, you're definitely going to die. Yen Feng's voice was cold. Ocean Abyss 8 sabers, Dragon King Tsunami. Suddenly, a huge saber light soared into the sky, and a bone-piercing, murderous aura spread out between heaven and earth. A terrifying force surged out, causing all the nearby cultivators to tremble. Even the ancient tree put up a layer of defense. So one could imagine how terrifying the saber light was. Gale lightning sword technique, 4th sword technique, heaven and earth collapse. At this critical moment, Lin Xian also used a powerful killing move, and 4 firmament sword shadows quickly descended. In an instant, a terrifying sword chi enveloped the entire space. Countless sword lights swept out in all directions, and the entire space was quickly annihilated. A terrifying explosion of energy was about to devour the entire space. Countless cracks appeared in the void like a spider web, causing one's heart to tremble. Just as the entire space was about to collapse, a blurry light was emitted from Pine Palace, and a mysterious force quickly protected the entire space. It was only because of this mystical power that the entire space quieted down. Otherwise, under such a terrifying impact, it would definitely have collapsed. Although the entire space had calmed down, the terrifying force was still there. The surrounding cultivators were all heavily injured from the impact. Yen Feng was even more battered and exhausted. His hair was disheveled, and there were sword wounds on his body. One of them had directly slashed his chest, causing his bones to be exposed. He had almost been cut in half. Defeated. He had actually been defeated in the final confrontation. He couldn't accept it. He was a peak 7th heaven venerable lord, a peerless genius of the younger generation. His combat strength was unparalleled, and even the older generation could only look up to him. However, he had been defeated by a 6th heaven venerable lord. This kind of defeat drove him crazy. Brat, you've completely infuriated me. I'll make you pay a painful price. Yen Feng's expression was ferocious like a demon. The spiritual energy in his body was quickly twisting, and it was obvious that he wanted to use a secret technique. The surrounding cultivators had yet to recover from their shock, and their expressions changed drastically when they saw Yen Feng going all out. However, they couldn't stop him in time. Lin Xian's face darkened when he saw this. It was obvious that Yen Feng wanted to fight to the death with him, but he didn't have time to waste with him. Moreover, he sensed several powerful forces gathering in the distance. If he didn't leave now, he was afraid that he would be besieged. That would be dangerous. The arrival of the mysterious expert allowed the people from the palace of Ares to heave a sigh of relief. Their expressions eased quite a bit. However, the mysterious venerable master did not pay attention to those ordinary disciples. Instead, he stared at Yen Feng. Then he took out a pill from his storage ring and gave it to Yen Feng. Yen Feng took the pill and quickly swallowed it. Immediately, the injuries on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Not long after, he was as good as new. However, his expression was very ugly. The shadow of his defeat was still lingering in his heart. At this moment, the mysterious venerable master said in a deep voice, "Don't worry, we won't let that kid off. Not to mention other things, just that kid's identity is enough to kill him 1,000 times. I know." Yen Feng nodded silently. "Are you very upset that you lost to him? Don't worry. We'll attack this tree demon now. After you swallow the fire phoenix and your strength increases, I'll let you deal with that kid personally." Hearing this, Yen Feng's eyes gradually regained their luster. He clenched his fists, and his voice was extremely ferocious. "Lin Xian, I'll definitely pay you back 100 times for what you did today." Lin Xian and Zhao Shui left the ancient tree and found a quiet place to rest. This place was very remote, and there were no precious treasures around. Furthermore, the Crimson Dragon had set up a formation, so it was very safe. Then Lin Xian sat down cross-legged and began to tidy up the spoils of war. There were actually only 2 things: the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit. Lin Xian had a total of 10 fire phoenix fruits and 50 silver leaves. Don't underestimate this. It was enough to make an 8th heaven or even 9th heaven venerable master go crazy. However, The martial soul could only be improved when the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit were used together. In this way, Lin Xian had a total of 10 silver leaves. As for the extra silver leaves, he did not plan to waste them. This was because these silver leaves could increase one's soul power. They were priceless treasures to him. Lin Xian took a silver leaf and began to cultivate his soul power. Feeling the changes in his soul power, Lin Xian smiled. Then he took out a few more silver leaves and began to cultivate quickly. Half a day later, Lin Xian's soul power had a breakthrough and reached the level of a 7th-tier alchemist. Now, he could refine 7th-tier elixirs without using 10,000 bee sting. Once he used 10,000 bee sting, he could even refine 8th-tier elixirs. This was undoubtedly a huge breakthrough for him. One had to know that a 7th-tier alchemist was already very precious, and an 8th-tier alchemist was even rarer. If he could refine 8th-tier elixirs, his identity alone would be enough to make him a VIP of many large forces. After his soul power increased, Lin Xian began to use the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit at the same time. This time, he wanted to increase the power of the great dragon sword soul to the 8th heaven venerable master. It had been 3 days since they entered the Pine Palace. In these 3 days, it was as if they had entered a treasure trove. This was because almost every place had rare treasures that were hard to find in the outside world. These people were crazily collecting them. They were desperately trying to increase their strength. For a time, even the threat of the heavenly netherbird had decreased by a lot. Many martial artists were gathered near a huge rock, as if they were guarding something. Sitting on the boulder was a young man with a cold expression. If there were other people here, they would definitely recognize this young man as Yan Feng from the Palace of Gods of War. Suddenly, a powerful spiritual energy erupted from Yan Feng's body. It was like a volcano erupting in an instant. That berserk power blew those surrounding martial artists who were guarding all over the place in all directions. The huge rock under his feet turned into powder in an instant. In the next moment, Yan Feng opened his eyes. His gaze was like lightning that pierced through the void. His eyes were filled with ecstasy. He raised his arms and roared into the sky. The sound was so terrifying that it made everyone's ears bleed. Countless clouds in the sky were scattered. The surrounding martial artists quickly sealed their hearing and retreated in fear. This is the power of an 8th heaven venerable master. He broke through. He really broke through. All the martial artists looked at Yan Feng with envy. Chapter 1193. 3 days ago, the mysterious supremacy had led them to attack the ancient tree and obtained some silver leaves and fiery wind fruits. Yan Feng had obtained some because he was a genius from the Palace of Gods of War. He was already a peak 7th heaven venerable realm cultivator. Now, with the help of the fiery phoenix fruit, he had finally broken through to the 8th heaven venerable realm. An 8th heaven supremacy could be considered a peerless expert. Even in the House of Kings, there weren't many of them. Furthermore, every 8th heaven venerate had an extremely honorable status. Even in the House of Kings, they were elders with real power. Moreover, it was very difficult to break through to the 8th heaven supremacy. In addition to extraordinary talent, one also needed a fortuitous encounter and a huge amount of resources. Even so, those who had broken through to the 8th heaven supremacy had white hair. It was very rare for someone as young as Yan Feng to break through to the 8th heaven supremacy. Yan Feng felt the enormous power in his body and immediately revealed an arrogant smile. Lin Xian, the next time we meet, it'll be the time of your death. Lin Xian slowly opened his eyes and stopped cultivating. Then a smile appeared on his face. With a wave of his hand, a dragon-shaped sword shadow quickly condensed. This dragon-shaped sword shadow was more solid than before. One could even see the dragon scales on it. That's right, this was Lin Xian's sword soul. It had successfully broken through to the eighth heaven supremacy realm. This breakthrough was very smooth because the silver leaves and fiery wind fruits were really heaven-defying items. Lin Xian didn't need to do anything. The pure energy flowed into the great dragon sword soul, allowing it to recover quickly. Not only that, his cultivation had also reached the seventh heaven supremacy realm. Now, a seventh heaven supremacy was no longer a threat to him. Even an eighth heaven supremacy might not be able to defeat him. This was the benefit of the great dragon sword soul. Its powerful combat power allowed Lin Xian to fight across realms. This made up for his lack of age. One had to know that it had only been 4 to 5 years since Xian started cultivating. Compared to the other geniuses, it could be said that he had cultivated for a very short time. However, it was precisely because of the great dragon sword spirit that he was able to contend against those elders. Of course, just having the great dragon sword soul was not enough. It also required tenacious willpower and unremitting efforts. Fortunately, Lin Xian had achieved all of these. In a good mood, Lin Xian stood up and looked around. Among them, the crimson dragon was lying on the side. He had also swallowed the fire phoenix fruit and the silver leaf. His cultivation had also recovered a lot, reaching the sixth firmament of the venerable realm. Although this kind of progress could be said to be slow for the Crimson Dragon in the past, however, it was not discouraged because they would soon be able to fight the Heavenly Netherbird. If it could obtain the Heavenly Netherbird's essence blood, it would be able to greatly increase its cultivation. Moreover, Lin Xian had also collected a lot of natural treasures, so he could exchange them for that drop of dragon blood when he returned to the academy. Therefore, it was only a matter of time before the Crimson Dragon's cultivation increased. Lin Xian's gaze shifted from the Crimson Dragon to Zhao Shui. At this moment, Zhao Shui was sitting cross-legged like a beautiful fairy. Her aura was even stronger, reaching the peak of the seventh firmament of the venerable realm. However, it seemed that it was impossible for her to break through to the eighth firmament of the venerable realm. In fact, this was normal. The further one cultivated, the harder it was to break through. This was especially so for the last few firmament of the venerable realm. It required an extremely large amount of energy, which was several times more than the previous firmament of the venerable realm. For example, Yan Feng was already at the peak of the seventh firmament of the venerable realm. He was only able to break through after consuming the fire phoenix fruit. Zhao Shui's cultivation was originally at the seventh firmament of the venerable realm. Now that she had reached the peak of the seventh firmament of the venerable realm, it could be said that she had greatly improved. Moreover, she was the same as Lin Xian. She was also an extremely special martial artist who could fight above her cultivation level. At this moment, the virtual sky eye behind Zhao Shui had become more solid than before. It was like a real eye, which was very strange and mysterious. Not only that, the eye also emitted a power that surpassed the seventh firmament of the venerable realm. Even Lin Xian felt a chill run down his spine. After an incense stick's time, Zhao Shui opened her eyes and sighed softly. I've already absorbed all the energy in the dragon pearl. However, I've only reached the peak of the seventh firmament of the venerable realm. I haven't broken through to the eighth firmament of the venerable realm. It's okay. There are many treasures in the Pine Palace. We still have a chance, Lin Xian comforted with a smile. Zhao Shui nodded and smiled sweetly. It's not that bad. Most of the energy I've absorbed has flowed into the virtual sky eye. Yes, my eye technique has evolved again, which has greatly improved my strength. I can even fight against an eighth firmament of the venerable realm. Lin Xian believed in this very much. Although the virtual sky eye was inferior to his dragon sword soul, it was still very powerful. It should be able to fight against an eighth firmament of the venerable realm. After their cultivation had improved, the two of them set off again. This time, they decided that they had to obtain more natural treasures. This way, they could still improve their strength. At the thought of this, the two of them flashed and quickly flew into the distance. At the same time, the cultivators of the Shun family gathered in a palace. No, this is infuriating. I can't take this lying down. I must kill that brat. Ninth young master gritted his teeth. The brat he was referring to was naturally Lin Xian. He naturally had no enmity with Lin Xian. However, Lin Xian's relationship with Morong Qingcheng was not subtle. This made him extremely jealous. Therefore, he wanted to kill Lin Xian by any means possible. Young master, that brat is very strange. If we act rashly, we might not succeed. An elder advised, but I can't take this lying down. Ninth young master had naturally heard of Lin Xian's various achievements. He also knew that his opponent was very difficult to deal with. However, it was difficult for him to give up just like that. Young master, I have an idea. At this moment, a cultivator spoke up. What is it? Tell me quickly. Ninth young master was overjoyed when he heard this. Although we can't catch that brat in a short period of time, we can target him from other places. Doesn't that brat often attack the major forces? If he attacks Morong Qingcheng and snatches the treasures of the Morong family, before he could finish his sentence, the ninth princess was already jumping with joy. This was a brilliant idea. If Lin Xian attacked Morong Qingcheng, the relationship between them would definitely break down. However, someone did not understand. Lin Xian is not stupid. Why would he attack Morong Qingcheng? This is very simple. We can find someone to pretend to be Lin Xian. This way, the problem will be solved. Young master, I have mastered a secret skill that allows me to transform into someone else's appearance. It is very difficult for cultivators below the challenger level to detect me. A seventh heaven supremacy said, Good, good, good. Ninth young master clapped his hands happily. Don't worry. As long as this matter is completed, I will not mistreat any of you. Chapter 1194. Jiu Gongzi clapped his hands happily. Don't worry. As long as this mission is completed, I won't mistreat any of you. Thank you, Jiu Gongzi. The group of warriors rejoiced. They had no choice. Although they were all disciples of the Shen family, compared to Jiu Gongzi's status, there was still a big gap. If they could help Jiu Gongzi complete this mission, their status in the family would definitely rise greatly when they returned. Many of them were excited at the thought of this. The middle-aged man who had spoken earlier also used a secret technique. Immediately, a series of crackling sounds came from his body. Under everyone's astonished gazes, the middle-aged man turned into Lin Xian. His height and appearance were exactly the same. Upon closer inspection, it was impossible to tell the difference. Jiu Gongzi clapped his hands and cheered. Then he reminded Jiu Gongzi again. That kid is a swordsman. You must pay attention to that. Also, his cultivation level is not high, so you must hide part of it. However, when you attack, you must show the strength of a seventh heavenly layer. Don't worry, Gongzi. I promise to complete the mission. Then, the fake Lin Xian grinned maliciously. He quickly used his movement technique and ran into the distance. In front of a palace, several elders were rapidly attacking a defensive light screen. Behind these people, there were many martial artists. Among them, there was a beautiful woman in a purple dress. They had not expected to find cold light iron here. What a pleasant surprise. This woman was naturally Morong Qingcheng. At this moment, her beautiful eyes were looking at the pieces of metal in the light screen in front of her, and she smiled. The silver-haired granny beside her also smiled. Yes, cold light iron was an excellent material for refining weapons. It was already extinct in the outside world. Who would have thought that it could be found here? Moreover, there seemed to be a lot of them. Looking at the pieces inside, if they were refined, they would be able to refine at least 3.5 Earth-grade treasures. This was a huge fortune for any family. In front, several elders were attacking the light screen with all their might. These elders were very powerful. Their combined attacks caused the light screen to tremble. The light screen did not last long. Cracking sounds came from it, and it finally shattered like glass. Great! The seal is broken. The disciples of the Morong family cheered. Morong Qingcheng also smiled. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly appeared. He was as fast as lightning as he dashed towards the few pieces of cold light iron. Who is it? You're courting death. The elders at the front were furious. They didn't expect that someone would dare to take their Morong family's belongings. Immediately, many people made their moves. However, that figure was very strange. He actually dodged all the attacks and quickly snatched the 2 pieces of cold light iron. There were a total of 4 pieces of cold light iron on the ground, and at this moment, half of them were gone. This directly provoked the Morong family. Damn it, stay here? An old man was enraged. He reached out with a terrifying hand that covered the entire area. The surrounding warriors also quickly took action. They formed an encirclement to stop that person. The giant hand that covered the sky slammed down mercilessly. It was as if tens of thousands of giant mountains were crashing down from the sky. At the critical moment, that person snorted coldly. Then, a dazzling sword light flashed. The dazzling sword chi slashed hard at the giant hand that covered the sky. Immediately, that old man was forced to take a few steps back. At the same time, that figure also appeared from the void. What? It's you? When the surrounding people saw that figure, they were all stunned. Even Morong Qingcheng was dazed for a second. Lin Xian, why are you here? Morong Qingcheng was very surprised. She didn't expect that Lin Xian would attack the Morong family. However, Lin Xian smiled, faintly. Where there are treasures, I will naturally appear. After saying that, he quickly put the 2 pieces of cold light iron into his storage ring. Seeing this scene, the warriors of the Morong family were enraged. Kid, although you helped the Morong family, it's impossible for you to steal our belongings. If you need this thing, you only need to tell our family, and we will give you a piece. However, your current behavior is truly disappointing. Humph, do I need to tell you what I want? Lin Xian snorted coldly. For Morong Qingcheng's sake, I won't kill you. Get out of here. Or don't blame me for being ruthless. How dare you? Fine, fine, fine. I'd like to see what kind of ability you have that you dare to go against the Morong family. The group of old men was furious. However, Morong Qingcheng frowned. She quickly stepped forward to stop those old men. Then she turned to Lin Xian. Are you in any trouble? Tell me, and I can help you. Trouble? What's the trouble? My Lone Star sword needs to be upgraded. This cold light iron is useful to me. If you want to help me, give me the remaining 2 pieces. Young mistress, don't be fooled by this kid. He's obviously a greedy guy. That's right. I thought he was a good person, but now it seems that he's not. The group of old men glared at Lin Xian, their eyes burning with anger. On the other hand, Morong Qingcheng frowned even tighter, because in her impression, Lin Xian was not this kind of person. She even suspected that this Lin Xian was a fake. However, she did not find any flaws except for his personality. Young mistress, Don't talk nonsense with him. Capture this kid. A few old men shouted angrily. Then they quickly attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, sneered and moved. Countless beams of sword light slashed out, forcibly carving out a path. Damn it! Damn it! Everyone looked at the escaping figure in anger. However, Murong Qingqing frowned. She definitely did not believe that it was Lin Xian. Although she did not believe it, the others believed it without a doubt. Moreover, those people hated Lin Xian. This made Murong Qingqing's expression very ugly. She sharply sensed that someone seemed to be trying to sow discord between her and Lin Xian. However, she did not have any evidence at the moment, so she could not convince the others. It seemed that she could only wait until the next time she caught that person and exposed his true identity in front of everyone. Only then would everyone believe it. According to Murong Qingqing's guess, if someone wanted to destroy her relationship with Lin Xian, they would not only attack once. In other words, that person would come again. Sure enough, not long after, when they found another treasure land, Lin Xian came again. This time, Murong Qingqing also attacked personally. However, she still let the other party escape because the other party did not fight with her at all. Instead, he relied on his movement technique to dodge quickly. Of course, this time, the other party stole a lot of good things. This made the Murong family even more furious. When Lin Xian robbed the Murong family for the third time, the Murong family completely lost it. They swore that they would catch that kid. This matter was not hidden at all. Soon, it spread throughout the entire Pine Palace. Chapter 1195. Now, everyone knew that Lin Xian had betrayed Murong Qingqing and the Murong family for the sake of treasures. When Jiu Gongzi of the Shen family found out about the Murong family's reaction, he laughed maniacally. Not only did he manage to snatch some treasures, but he also caused the relationship between the Murong family and Lin Xian to worsen. Although Murong Qingqing still did not fully believe him, he was not 100% sure either. Furthermore, the rest of the Murong family hated Lin Xian even more. This directly cut off the possibility of Murong Qingqing and Lin Xian being together. Jiu Gongzi was very happy to hear this news. Damn brat, how dare he steal my woman? He's courting death. I don't even have to do it myself. I have 100 ways to make sure you can't stay here. The fake Lin Xian also stood at the side and said, Jiu Gongzi, although we've achieved some results, we can't let our guard down. At the very least, Murong Qingqing is still very suspicious. Why don't I injure a few of the Murong family's martial artists next time? This will definitely cause the relationship between the Murong family and Lin Xian to worsen. Even Murong Qingqing won't let Lin Xian go. Okay, let's do that. Jiu Gongzi nodded, and a cruel smile appeared on his face. If necessary, we can kill a few of the Murong family. After Lin Xian and Zhao Shui came out, they realized that something was wrong. This was because he realized that the way the people looked at him had changed. It was different from before. Previously, they looked at him with fear, but now there was a trace of disdain in their eyes. It was as if Lin Xian had done something that angered the heavens and the people. This made Lin Xian very suspicious. One had to know that he had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. He did not do anything at all. Could it be the Palace of War's doing? Lin Xian frowned. If there was anything that had happened recently, it would undoubtedly be the battle with the Palace of Gods of War. Moreover, he had obtained quite a number of Fire Phoenix fruits. However, there was nothing to despise about this matter. Therefore, Lin Xian could not understand. However, with his outstanding soul force, he was able to eavesdrop on some of their conversations. Humph, this guy is really shameless. He even snatched the things of the sect. Yeah, It's said that he has a good relationship with Morong Chingcheng. I didn't expect this guy to do it. Scum, scum, robbing Morong Chingcheng? Hearing these words, Lin Xian's frown deepened. When had he ever snatched Morong Chingcheng's things? However, from the looks of these people, it did not seem fake. It seemed that Morong Chingcheng had indeed been attacked, and that person was pretending to be him. In an instant, Lin Xian understood all the key points. Then his face darkened. Needless to say, this person was trying to frame him and destroy his relationship with Morong Chingcheng. This method was really vicious. Moreover, from the conversations of these people, it seemed that the impostor had done it more than once and succeeded every time. Until now, no one had seen through his disguise. It had to be said that the impostor had some tricks up his sleeve. However, Lin Xian had many enemies. It was possible that every faction could do something like this. However, after eliminating the possibilities, Lin Xian finally locked onto two targets. One was the Palace of Gods of War. That was because the Palace of Gods of War had recently suffered a great loss at his hands. Therefore, it was very likely that this was their revenge. The second target was the Shen family, because the ninth young master of the Shen family had been chasing after Morong Chingcheng. He had become a love rival in the eyes of the Shen family. Therefore, this could also be done by the Shen family. However, no matter who it was, this matter had angered Lin Xian. Therefore, he would not let the impostor off. Now, the most important thing was to find Morong Chingcheng and explain this matter clearly. Moreover, he was slightly worried. If it was the Shen family, it would be fine. At least Morong Chingcheng would not be in any danger. However, if this was done by the Palace of Gods of War, it was very likely that they would kill Morong Chingcheng. Lin Xian would not allow this to happen. Zhao Shui, use the virtual eye. I want to lock onto the Morong family's direction. Zhao Shui also knew about this matter. Therefore, she did not hesitate. Her palms quickly formed a seal. The virtual eye quickly condensed above her and scanned the entire space. Soon, it found the Morong family. In the southwest direction, in front of a palace, they seemed to be breaking a seal. Hearing this, Lin Xian nodded. Then he stomped his foot and flew out like a shooting star. Zhao Shui also floated behind Lin Xian like a fairy. The Morong family was indeed breaking a seal. However, their ultimate goal was not to obtain the treasure this time. Their ultimate goal was to lure Lin Xian out and then capture him. This was because they had had enough. Over the past few days, Lin Xian had robbed them of most of their treasures. This made them very angry. Therefore, this time, they had set up a trap. They had to capture Lin Xian and teach him a lesson. After all, the Morong family was the House of Kings. They would not allow anyone to provoke them. This time, Morong Chingcheng did not refuse. This was because she also wanted to capture Lin Xian and reveal his true identity in front of everyone. The seal was quickly breaking. Morong Chingcheng and the others looked solemn as they quickly scanned their surroundings. The reason for that was because they knew that the moment the seal was truly broken would be the moment Lin Xian came out. Indeed, the moment the seal was broken, the void vibrated and a golden ray of light shot towards them. Like a shocking rainbow, this sword strike was swift and fierce to the extreme. However, what shocked everyone was that this sword was not aimed at the treasure. Instead, it was aimed at one of the warriors from the Morong family. Boom! A low sound was heard. Then, the warrior from the Morong family was sent flying. There was a terrifying sword wound on his body. Kid, you're courting death. The Morong family was completely enraged. They did not expect Lin Xian to attack them. The previous 3 times, Lin Xianzi was much stronger than them. Hence, their treasures did not attack them. Therefore, they thought that Lin Xian would not attack them. However, Now that Lin Xian had come to harass their master, they did not even have time to think about it. Ah, you've gone too far. An elder from the Murong family roared at the sky. Terrifying spiritual energy exploded from his body. This time, he must capture Lin Xian. The other warriors were also extremely angry. They all blocked the figure. Murong Qingchen was also stunned. She could not understand why Lin Xian would do something like this to her people. She could not believe it. However, if this was a fake Lin Xian, then where was the real Lin Xian? It had been so many days. Why had he not come out? Her heart was in a mess. However, at this moment, Lin Xian sneered. The sword light lit up again. This time, his target was still the disciples. Chapter 1196. That was because those disciples had not reached the 7th level of the honorable realm, so they could not resist his sword chi. How dare you, kid? I'm going to kill you. Despicable. Come at me if you dare. The elders of the Murong family roared as they charged forward with all their might. However, the figure did not fight them at all. Instead, he chose to attack a few disciples. A ray of sword light that looked like a murderous sword slashed towards the head of one of the disciples. This sword was extremely sharp. If the disciple was hit, he would definitely die. The elders behind him roared angrily, but they could not stop the attack in time. In an instant, everyone's faces were filled with anger and despair. The disciple who was attacked was even more stunned, as he stood rooted to the ground. He could not dodge it at all. Just as everyone thought that the disciple was about to die, the void suddenly fluctuated. A ray of ice flew past and formed an ice wall that blocked the sword chi. Then, another ray of lightning flashed and shattered the sword chi. This action was extremely fast and was completed in an instant. Lin Xian let out a soft cry of surprise because he didn't expect someone to be able to block his attack. In the next moment, his face darkened as he looked behind him. Then his pupils constricted as he stood rooted to the ground. She was not the only one who was stunned. Everyone was stunned. The ancient martial artists of the Murong family were all stunned as they stared in front of them in disbelief. Murong Qingchen heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that she had guessed correctly. It turned out that Lin Xian and Zhao Shui had appeared behind them. The people of the Murong family did not expect to see two Lin Xian at the same time. That was why they were stunned. Murong Qingchen knew that her guess was correct. That meant that the Lin Xian from before was a fake. This way, the crisis between Lin Xian and her family was resolved. At this moment, even the elders of the Murong family understood. They glared at the figure and said, "So you're a fake? Speak. What is your purpose for deliberately trying to sabotage this? Why are you wasting your breath on him? Capture him. I want to see who he really is. It doesn't matter which power they are from. Since they dared to provoke our Murong family, we must take revenge." The elders shouted coldly, their eyes burning with anger. It was too dangerous. If not for Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's timely appearance, they would have suffered heavy losses. Furthermore, they would seek revenge on Lin Xian and Zhao Shui in the future. This way, the person who acted in the dark would benefit from it. The Murong family had dominated the Sky Martial Continent for so many years. When had they ever been schemed against? Thus, they could not take this lying down. Lin Xian sneered as he looked at the figure. "You're pretty smart. Even I couldn't identify you." On the other hand, the fake Lin Xian had an ugly expression on his face. He didn't expect to meet the real Lin Xian at this time. This was something he had never expected before. That was because the real Lin Xian hadn't appeared in the past few days. Thus, he didn't take it to heart. Furthermore, before he made his move, he had placed informants in the surroundings. As long as the real Lin Xian appeared, those informants would sound the alarm. When that happened, he would immediately leave. However, he didn't expect that his informants had been discovered by Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. Furthermore, they had been silently eliminated by the two of them. Thus, Lin Xian and Zhao Shui's arrival didn't alert anyone. Naturally, the fake Lin Xian didn't know. The fake Lin Xian gritted his teeth and said, "Kid, you're lucky today. However, one day you'll die in our hands." With that, he took out 2 balls of light the size of a longan fruit from his storage ring. Then he smashed them into the void. Instantly, the 2 balls of light collided and exploded with a light more dazzling than the sun. In an instant, it enveloped the entire space. The light was so intense that even honorable ones didn't dare to look directly at it. Thus, when the light appeared, many warriors from the Morong family screamed in agony. The other warriors were so frightened that they closed their eyes, not daring to look directly at it. We've been tricked. A group of Morong family elders roared in anger. Then, they extended their soul power in an attempt to capture the fake Lin Xian. However, other than taking out 2 balls of light, the fake Lin Xian sprinkled a layer of light powder on his body. Instantly, the probing of their soul power was blocked. The fake Lin Xian sneered and was about to leave. However, at this moment, a ray of light slashed at him and stopped him. "What? This is impossible. How did you discover me?" The fake Lin Xian was stunned. He didn't expect anyone to be able to track him. After all, the 2 balls of light that he took out were known as the sun god's balls. They were the best treasures for escaping. When the light appeared, no one below the king level dared to look directly at it. Moreover, the light powder that he sprinkled had the effect of isolating soul power. Thus, as long as he used these 2 treasures, he would definitely be able to escape safely. However, he didn't expect that just as he moved, someone would block his path. How could he not be shocked? He didn't know that Zhao Shui's void sky eye was extremely mysterious. Furthermore, it had just evolved. What others couldn't do, the void sky eye could do. Thus, as soon as the fake Lin Xian moved, he was immediately targeted by the void heaven eyes. Seeing that the light from the sun god's balls was getting weaker and weaker, the fake Lin Xian was extremely anxious. If the light disappeared, he wouldn't be able to escape. At that time, he would have to bear the wrath of the entire Morong family. Thinking of this, his heart trembled. Get out of my way. The fake Lin Xian slashed out with his sword. Resplendent sword light filled the sky and quickly cut through the void. Playing with a sword in front of me? You're still too inexperienced. Lin Xian raised his finger, and a sword aura quickly flew out from his fingertip. This sword aura contained the 3 attributes of wind, lightning, and fire. It could be said to be extremely powerful. It was like a shocking rainbow that instantly streaked across the void. Wherever it passed, raging waves crashed onto the shore. Terrifying spiritual energy instantly filled the surroundings. The 2 sword auras collided without any pause. The sword aura that Lin Xian used instantly cut the fake sword aura in half. Then it slashed forward with an even more violent stance. How is this possible? The fake Lin Xian was shocked. He couldn't believe that the other party could so easily break his sword aura. One had to know that he was a 7th level Venerable Realm cultivator. That sword aura was his strongest attack. Even a cultivator of the same level would have to use all their strength to deal with it. However, the other party had broken his attack with just a flick of his finger. This was simply too unbelievable. In fact, he was even a little dazed. Just as the 2 of them were exchanging blows, the light that filled the sky disappeared. Then, the Morong family members regained their vision. They opened their eyes and stared at the fake Lin Xian. Chapter 1197. Then the martial artists from the Morong family flew into the sky and quickly caught the fake Lin Xian. They had no choice. None of the 7th-level venerables could escape from so many powerful martial artists. Tell me, who are you? Hurry up and show your true face. Otherwise, I have 100 ways to make you regret being born in this world. The martial artists from the Morong family gritted their teeth and used their fierce techniques. Soon, the fake Lin Xian could not hold on any longer and showed his true face. It was a middle-aged man with the Shen family's emblem on his body. Therefore, the Morong family recognized him at a glance. The Shen family. You're from the Shen family. The elder from the Morong family was shocked when he saw the man. Then he asked in a low voice, "Tell me, why did the Shen family attack the Morong family? What other schemes do you have?" The middle-aged man was on the verge of tears. "No, there's no other scheme. We attacked because we wanted to destroy the close relationship between Morong Qingcheng and Lin Xian." Under such circumstances, the middle-aged man consciously confessed everything. Then the faces of the Morong family darkened. Morong Qingcheng was so angry that her face turned pale. She did not expect the damned 9th young lord to be so despicable as to come up with such a plan. If Lin Xian had not arrived in time and dispelled the other party's scheme, the Morong family and Lin Xian would have fought to the death in the future. Thinking of this, she felt a lingering fear. The damned Shen family has gone too far. The martial artists from the Morong family were furious. "No, I can't take this lying down. I have to talk to them. What's so arrogant about the Shen family? We're all members of the House of Kings. If we really fight, we're not afraid of each other." These people were furious. However, Morong Qingcheng looked at Lin Xian and asked, "What do you think? The Shen family is so vicious. We can't let them go. However, the other party is the House of Kings after all. They are very powerful. If we fight them head-on, I'm afraid both sides will suffer. At that time, our competitiveness in Deep Pine Hall will be greatly reduced. This is not a good thing for us." Hearing this, everyone nodded. Indeed, Lin Xian was right. However, there were still many people who were angry. They simply could not swallow this anger. Seeing their expressions, Lin Xian spoke again. "I don't plan to beat them either, but we don't have to do it ourselves." "Oh, it seems that you have a way." Morong Qingcheng asked. "Of course, an eye for an eye. Don't they like to frame others? Today, I will let them have a taste of this kind of framing." Then Lin Xian sneered. His body emitted a series of crackling sounds, and his face began to change. Finally, an elder Qing Yun stood in front of them. For a moment, everyone was stunned. The middle-aged man on the ground widened his eyes, as if he had seen this before. "You." He pointed at Lin Xian and was speechless for a long time. He was shocked, too shocked. He did not expect that the other party would also know this kind of disguise. It was so exquisite that it was not inferior to his. Thinking of what the other party was going to do next, the middle-aged man felt a wave of fear. Needless to say, the Shen family was definitely going to be unlucky. However, he was now caught and could not send the news back. Morong Qingcheng was still worried. "Although I can't tell whether your appearance is real or fake, Elder Qing Yun's martial arts are all the martial arts of the Shen family. Outsiders can't do it. Don't worry about that. I have seen the old man in action. I have memorized all his moves." Lin Xian smiled and threw out a punch. The punch was very ethereal, like a cloud. It was traceless and terrifying. In an instant, the void in front of it exploded. That's the limitless fist. The people from the Morong family were shocked. They did not expect Lin Xian to use the martial arts of the Shen family. The middle-aged man from the Shen family was even more shocked. That scene was completely beyond his imagination. He could not figure out how the other party did it, Lin Xian smiled and did not say anything. His palm stretched out again. This time, it was a huge green hand that covered the sky. There were wood-like patterns on it, and it was very mysterious. That palm easily tore through time and space. That's the green cloud hand. Everyone once again sucked in a breath of cold air, because this green cloud hand was Elder Qing Yun's famous unique skill. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian would also use it. Moreover, they could not see any flaws at all. For a moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian in shock. The middle-aged man's face was full of despair. He knew that the Shen family was in big trouble this time. When did you learn the martial arts of the Shen family? Murong Qingchen was very curious. Lin Xian smiled, but did not say anything. He did not know the martial arts of the Shen family. The reason why he could use the green cloud hand was because of the dragon sword soul in his body. The dragon sword soul was an offensive sacred art in the world. It could simulate and evolve everything. He had seen Elder Qing Yun in action before, so he was very clear about his opponent's moves. It was not difficult for him to use the dragon sword soul to evolve it. What happened next was easy. Lin Xian pretended to be Elder Qing Yun, and then sneaked up on the Palace of Ares to make the Palace of Ares and the Shen family start a war. This way, he could deal a good blow to the Shen family and not deplete the combat power of the Murong family. It could be said to be killing two birds with one stone. At the side, Zhao Shui used her void eye and quickly locked onto the positions of the Shen family and the Palace of Ares. Then Lin Xian's figure flashed and quickly flew in the direction of the Palace of Ares. Ha ha! We are really lucky this time. We actually found two treasures at the same time. Duan Tianlang was very excited. Yan Feng has already gone to the other treasure. We must get the treasure in this place. Duan Tianlang was very confident because Yan Feng had already broken through to the 8th Heaven Honorable Realm. There were probably not many people in the Pine Palace who could be his match. His cultivation had also improved greatly and reached the peak of the 7th Heaven Honorable Realm. As long as he did not encounter an 8th Heaven Honorable Realm, no one could beat him. He was very confident about this. Under Duan Tianlang's lead, many martial artists from the Palace of Ares attacked the light screen and quickly broke the seal. Looking at the treasures in front of them, the eyes of the people from the Palace of Ares burned with passion, and they laughed happily. However, the situation suddenly changed. A huge green hand covered the sky like a dark cloud and covered everyone. Then it slammed down. The void was torn apart, and the wind howled. A terrifying force surged down. In an instant, the expressions of the martial artists from the Palace of Ares changed. However, Duan Tianlang's face was hideous. How dare you snatch the treasures of the Palace of Ares? No matter who you are dead meat. He roared wildly and punched out. The huge fist was like a heavenly pillar as it met the huge hand that covered the sky. Chapter 1198. Duan Tianlang was furious. He didn't expect that someone would dare to target the Palace of Gods of War, and the timing was perfect. It was the exact moment when they broke the seal. The other party must have been hiding nearby for a long time. However, he didn't notice it before. He couldn't help but be shocked. However, he was relieved that the other party's aura hadn't reached the 8th firmament, so he was confident that he could take him down. After the attack, the entire void trembled, and Duan Tianlang's expression changed again. Qingyun hand? You're Elder Qingyun. You have good taste. It's me. An old figure appeared in the distance. It was Elder Qingyun from the Shen family. Damn you, Qingyun. Why did you attack us for no reason? Duan Tianlang gritted his teeth. Nonsense. Of course, it's to snatch the treasures. The Palace of Gods of War has been lucky recently and found many treasures. However, don't be so greedy. Everyone has a share. Why don't you share some with me? What a joke. We found these things, so they're ours. How can we share them with you? Old man Qingyun, I don't want to attack you because you're from the Shen family. Get lost if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Humph, you dare to teach me a lesson? Elder Qingyun snorted and said, I was wondering why you were so arrogant. It turns out that your cultivation has reached the peak of the seventh firmament supremacy. It seems that you've benefited a lot these days. Great. I'll test your strength as a peak seventh firmament supremacy. With that, Elder Qingyun attacked again, and the terrifying green palm grabbed forward. Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. Duan Tianlang sneered, and an unparalleled aura erupted from his body. Duan Tianlang displayed his powerful combat strength and attacked Elder Qingyun. However, Elder Qingyun didn't fight him head-on. He just dodged quickly. Moreover, the large green palm grabbed many treasures and even injured many of the Palace of Gods of War's martial artists. In the end, Elder Qingyun left with a full load. Only Duan Tianlang and a group of martial artists were left howling on the ground. Aggrieved. It was too aggrieved. Duan Tianlang's lungs were about to explode. The other party was clearly weaker than him. If they were to fight head-on, he was confident that he could defeat the other party. However, that Elder Qingyun didn't fight with him at all. Furthermore, he specifically targeted the weaker disciples. This caused Duan Tianlang to be incomparably furious. It was as if he had punched cotton, unable to exert any strength at all. Furthermore, he had just advanced to the peak seventh heavenly layer exalted realm. He was extremely proud of himself, but he never expected to receive such a blow. In the next moment, he let out a furious roar. His figure flickered as he quickly flew towards Elder Qingyun. That Elder Qingyun was naturally not the real one, but Lin Xian in disguise. He was currently flying in the direction of the Shen family. When he arrived near the Shen family, his figure flashed, and he hid in the void. Not long after, Duan Tianlang caught up. He released his soul power and quickly located the Shen family. With a furious roar, Duan Tianlang slammed his palm forward. Boom! The trees in front of them collapsed, and the entire ground shook. However, amidst the violent shaking, angry roars could be heard. Then, one by one, figures soared into the sky, and powerful auras filled the surroundings. Who are you? How dare you sneak an attack on the Shen family? You must be tired of living. Countless angry voices could be heard. It was obvious that the warriors of the Shen family were enraged. One had to know that they were the House of Kings. They were usually supreme existences. However, someone had actually dared to sneak an attack on them. It was really intolerable. However, when they saw the person who attacked, their faces immediately darkened. Duan Tianlang, are you crazy? How dare you attack us? Don't think that you can act without scruples just because you're from the Palace of Gods of War. If you don't give us an explanation today, don't even think about leaving. The ninth young master of the Shen family shouted angrily. However, Duan Tianlang seemed to have not heard him. He stared at Elder Qingyun. Explanation? What explanation do you want? Why didn't you give us an explanation when that old man Qingyun snatched the treasures of the Palace of Gods of War? Why didn't you give us an explanation when he planned to attack the disciples of the Palace of Gods of War? Don't you think it's ridiculous that you're asking for an explanation now? Elder Qingyun? The martial artists of the Shen family were stunned. Then they were enraged. What kind of joke is this? Elder Qingyun is with us this time. Why would he attack the Palace of Gods of War? If you want to attack the Shen family, please find a better reason. Do you really think we're idiots with this lousy excuse? Don't talk nonsense with him. This guy is obviously trying to snatch the treasures of the Shun family. The group of martial artists of the Shun family shouted angrily. Elder Qing Yun also snorted coldly. Duan Tianlang, are you old and blind? Why would I attack the palace of gods of war? Whether you did or not, we'll know when I take you down and search your storage ring. Duan Tianlang sneered. Then he quickly attacked. You're courting death. Elder Qing Yun was furious. He did not expect Duan Tianlang to attack him directly without any consideration for his feelings. This made him furious. One had to know that they were in the territory of the Shen family. With a snort, Elder Qing Yun stretched out his Qing Yun hand and grabbed forward. In the past, he and Duan Tianlang were equally matched. However, Duan Tianlang had just broken through to the peak of the seventh heaven of the supremacy realm recently. Therefore, Elder Qing Yun was no match for Duan Tianlang now. Therefore, after one strike, Elder Qing Yun was beaten back again and again. He was even injured. Instantly, the surrounding martial artists of the Shun family were furious. They no longer cared about the rules of the underworld and quickly rushed forward. Although Duan Tianlang's cultivation had reached the peak of the seventh heaven of the supremacy realm, he was not invincible. In addition, the martial artists of the Shen family were all experts. Therefore, it did not take long for him to escape with serious injuries. After beating Duan Tianlang away, the Shen family had vented their anger. Moreover, they did not pay much attention to it. However, Duan Tianlang could not take this lying down. After returning, he told the other experts of the Palace of Gods of War about this. Then the people of the Palace of Gods of War discussed it and felt that they should attack again. If this was in the past, they might have thought about it for a long time. After all, the other party was also a member of the House of Kings. If they attacked rashly, both sides would suffer. However, it was different now. They had just broken through a few days ago, and their strength had increased greatly. Originally, they were in high spirits and thought that they had surpassed the other members of the House of Kings. However, they did not expect to suffer such a huge loss at this time. According to their personalities, how could they tolerate it? Therefore, it did not take long for Duan Tianlang, Yan Feng, and the others to attack again with the experts of the Palace of Gods of War. This battle was naturally defeated by the Shun family because they did not have an eighth heaven supremacy present. On the other hand, Yan Feng had already broken through to the eighth heaven of the supremacy realm. Although he had just entered the eighth heaven of the supremacy realm, he was not someone that those seventh heaven supremacies could compare to. Chapter 1199. Therefore, there was no suspense in this battle. Otherwise, the news of this battle would have quickly spread throughout the entire Pine Palace. All the factions knew that the Palace of Gods of War and the Shen family had fought. And the result was that the Shen family was defeated. Lin Xian, Murong Qingcheng, and the others naturally heard the news as well. Then they all laughed. They were naturally happy that the Shen family had been defeated. However, other than being happy, they were also very surprised. This was because, according to their original predictions, the Shen family and the Palace of Gods of War should have suffered great losses. However, they did not expect that the Shen family would be defeated this time, and the Palace of Gods of War would not suffer much damage. Therefore, they quickly inquired about the news. When they learned that Yan Feng had broken through to the eighth heaven of supremacy realm, they all gasped. This time, the various sects had sent many experts, but they were basically all seventh heaven supremacies. It seemed that only the Sword Supremacy Senior from the Deity Sword Villa had an eighth heaven supremacy. Other than that, there was probably no one else. However, now that Yanfeng had broken through to the eighth heaven of supremacy realm, this was a huge threat to everyone. Lin Xian was also very surprised. He did not expect that Yanfeng had broken through. It seemed that after they left that day, the people from the Palace of Gods of War should have attacked the ancient tree. Perhaps they had obtained some fire phoenix fruits which allowed Yanfeng to break through. Although he was very surprised by this news, he did not take it to heart. So what if Yanfeng had broken through? One had to know that he had also broken through. His cultivation had increased, and his dragon sword soul had also reached the eighth heaven supremacy realm. Lin Xian did not even care about ordinary eighth heaven supremacies, let alone Yanfeng, who had just entered the eighth heaven supremacy realm. Zhao Shui did not have much of a reaction. Although she was only at the peak of the seventh heaven supremacy realm, her real combat strength was not much weaker than an eighth heaven supremacy realm. The Murong family was more or less nervous. After all, the appearance of an eighth heaven supremacy realm was still a huge threat to them. However, Murong Qingcheng was very calm. This was because they had obtained many natural treasures these days. It would not take long for her to break through. At that time, even if her cultivation couldn't reach the eighth level of the Venerate realm, her battle prowess definitely wouldn't lose to an eighth level Venerate realm cultivator with a true phoenix, imperial jade seal in her hands. However, this matter still rang an alarm bell for them. In other words, within Pine Palace, anyone could break through. To be honest, although we are also a six-star sect, we are still lacking compared to the other House of Kings. Even if we want to, I'm afraid we don't have the strength to do it. Don't worry about this. Since I asked you to do it, I will naturally help you. The heavenly Netherbird's cold voice rang out. Now, find 2 suitable people. I will help those 2 reach the eighth heaven of Venerable Realm in a short period of time. This way, I'm afraid there won't be any problems. Eighth heaven of Venerable Realm. 2 people. Hearing this, the people of Divine Bird Palace felt a chill. Then, their eyes lit up. Although it was only a temporary increase in cultivation, the benefits were undoubtedly huge. For a moment, everyone's heart was burning. The elder was also stunned for a moment. Then he was ecstatic. However, he knew that this matter was of great importance. If it was not handled well, they might not be able to leave this place. Therefore, he began to carefully think about it. In terms of strength, this elder was undoubtedly the strongest. Therefore, he was determined to get one of the spots. However, he thought carefully about the other person. In the end, he did not choose from the older generation. Instead, he chose the most talented person among the younger generation. Sir, I've chosen. The 7th elder of the Divine Bird Palace stepped forward and stood in a conspicuous position. Beside him, there was a handsome young man. At this moment, the young man's face was filled with ecstasy. The surrounding warriors of Divine Bird Palace stood in the distance and looked at the 2 figures enviously. The person in the lead was an old man in plain clothes. Although this old man was dressed plainly and looked ordinary, no one dared to look down on him because he was the famous senior sword venerable of the deity Sword Villa. At this moment, the linen-clothed old man was standing in front of the cave with a grave expression. Honorable Sword Elder, what is this place? Why is there such a terrifying aura? Behind him, the disciples of deity Sword Manor were confused. If my guess is correct, this should be a place for refining weapons. The plain-clothed old man looked at the cave in front of him and said in a deep voice, "Indeed, This cave not only had a sharp and ancient aura, but also a scorching heat wave faintly emitted from within the cave. The heat wave was nothing at first, but if one stood in front of the cave for too long, even a venerable one would not be able to withstand it. A place for refining weapons. The eyes of the warriors behind him lit up when they heard this. So, there should be many ancient weapons inside. That's right. The old man in plain clothes nodded. Moreover, the sharp sword chi was emitted from this place. To be able to emit that sword chi, it was definitely a peerless divine weapon. Speaking of this, the old man in plain clothes' eyes were filled with passion. Although he was very old and had reached the end of his life, as a swordsman, his pursuit of treasured swords was endless. Therefore, no matter what, he wanted to go in and take a look at the peerless divine sword. The old man in plain clothes revealed a yearning expression. However, in the next moment, he frowned and suddenly turned his head. The sharp gaze in his eyes turned into a substantial sword chi and slashed forward. Which scoundrel is sneaking around? His voice was like thunder, and as his voice fell, the aura of the old man in plain clothes suddenly changed. An unusually sharp and powerful aura erupted from his body. At this moment, he no longer looked like an ordinary old man. He was clearly a peerless swordsman. The huge sword chi slashed towards the void in front of him. Although everyone was puzzled and did not see who it was, they believed that as long as the sword honorable took action, he must have his reasons. Sure enough, in the next moment, in the void, two figures suddenly flashed and flew into the distance. These two people were the seventh elder and Zhu Qin of the divine bird attack. Their expressions were very ugly. They used their extreme movement techniques and quickly ran into the distance. Damn it, this old man is so powerful. We have already restrained our auras, but I didn't expect him to still discover us. The seventh elder gritted his teeth. On the side, Zhu Chen's expression was also solemn. This is the sword honorable of the deity Sword Villa. He's really terrifying. Indeed, although their cultivation had increased to the eighth heaven of the venerable realm, they still felt a chill down their spines when facing the sword honorable. Dodging the sword by a hair's breadth, the two of them fled to a safe place and quickly discussed the matter. Elder, what should we do? Zhu Chen asked. Don't worry. Look at the cave. It seems to be protected by a powerful formation. I'm afraid it won't be easy to break that formation. Why don't we wait until those people break the formation and then secretly follow them in? This way we can preserve our strength and make a move at the critical moment. The seventh elder said in a deep voice. Then the two of them hid, but they were still paying close attention to the information in the cave. On the other side, the linen-clothed old man slashed out with his sword. When he saw the two figures running away, he frowned. Naturally, he could sense that the two figures who were running away were eighth heaven of the venerable realm. When did the eighth heaven of the deity Sword Villa come in? The linen-clothed old man was very confused. However, he shook his head slightly because he couldn't figure it out. However, he was not afraid. With the strength that the other party had shown before, it was not enough to fight against him. What he needed to do now was to enter the cave in front and obtain the exceptional divine weapon. In the next moment, the linen-clothed old man took a deep breath and walked forward. When he was about 10 feet away from the cave, he was suddenly greeted by a fiery red wave of air. Along with it was a scorching aura that melted the entire void. The aura was so violent that even a seventh heaven of the venerable realm would find it difficult to resist it. Chapter 12:01. Not only that, but a red light screen had also appeared in front of them, blocking their path. As expected, such a treasure vault must be protected by a powerful formation, The plain-clothed old man sighed and retracted his footsteps. Although he did not continue forward, the old man's eyes were very determined. It seemed that he was determined to obtain the divine weapon inside. That was because he had his own ideas. One had to know that they weren't safe right now. There was still a powerful heavenly netherbird waiting for them outside. They did not have the strength to fight against it. However, if he could obtain the divine weapon, he might be able to pose a threat to the heavenly netherbird. By then, they would have the right to negotiate. At the very least, they should be able to protect the people of Deity Sword Manor. Therefore, he had to get his hands on this peerless divine weapon. However, the first step was to break the red array in front of them. The old man did not do that. He did not ask the people of Deity Sword Manor to break the array either. Instead, he waited quietly. That was because he knew that the sword light from before must have alerted everyone in Pine Palace. Therefore, it would not be long before those powerful families and forces arrived. Therefore, he did not need to worry about the array in front of them. Indeed, before long, there was the sound of something breaking through the air. Then, a group of cultivators landed quickly. The aura of the divine weapon. It's really here. A joyful voice was heard. Then, there was a surprised voice. Deity Sword Manor? So it's Senior Sword Honorable. The people of Deity Sword Manor turned around and realized that the people who landed behind them were from Palace of Gods of War. The old man also turned around and looked behind. Then he was surprised. He did not expect that Palace of Gods of War would have 2 8th level honorables. The 2 8th level honorables were naturally Yenfeng and the mysterious honorable. Previously, Palace of Gods of War had obtained some silver leaves and fire phoenix fruits. Many people's cultivation had improved greatly. Among them, the ones who had benefited the most were Yenfeng and the mysterious Honorable Duan Tianqing. Yenfeng was a prodigy of the younger generation. He was extremely talented, so he had broken through to 8th level honorable at a young age. The mysterious Honorable Duan Tianqing had an even more extraordinary background. He was Duan Tianlang's senior brother and a powerful elder of Palace of Gods of War. This time around, his strength had increased tremendously. Compared to Yenfeng, he was now slightly stronger. The appearance of the Palace of Ares alerted the Deity Sword Manor. Now was a special time. There was a treasure trove of peerless divine weapons in front of them. The other party's intentions were obvious. Moreover, the 2 8th level venerables made the people of Deity Sword Villa feel a wave of pressure. Originally, the strength of the Deity Sword Villa had been slightly weaker than the House of Kings like the Ares Palace. However, the arrival of the honorable swordsmen had greatly boosted their confidence. They believed that they could suppress the House of Kings. This was because, according to the information they had obtained, no 8th level venerables had entered this time. However, they did not expect that 2 8th level venerables would appear in the Palace of War. This surprised them greatly. Previously, the advantage that they had gained by relying on Senior Sword Sovereign would probably be pulled closer to them. However, the linen-clothed old man was very calm. He did not take these 2 8th Heaven Supremacy Realm martial artists to heart. However, he was old after all. If he could avoid fighting, he would try his best not to. Therefore, he did not say anything in the face of the powerful Ares Palace. Duan Tianqing, Yenfeng, and the others were different from the people of Deity Sword Villa. They rushed forward as soon as they arrived to study the red array formation. Before long, the martial artists of the other forces also arrived one after another. At this moment, the linen-clothed old man finally spoke. "Everyone, I know that everyone is anxious. However, if we don't break this array formation, I'm afraid that no one will be able to enter. Therefore, I hope that everyone will work together." Senior Honorable Swordsman, you are right. You have the highest seniority here. Why don't we leave this matter to you? An elder of Merry Woods said with a smile. The elders of the other forces nodded in agreement. The people of the Ares Palace did not show any obvious support. However, they did not show any objection either. The linen-clothed old man nodded. Then he walked forward and led everyone to study the array formation. During this process, the Shun family and the Ares Palace were extremely jealous. They almost started fighting again. Fortunately, the honorable swordsman was there to suppress the situation. Both sides stopped fighting. Swoosh. In the forest, two figures flashed. It was Lin Xian and Zhao Shui. The two of them naturally rushed to the cave in front of them. However, they did not go up to break the array formation. Instead, they waited quietly from afar. It was not that they did not want to go up. However, most of the forces had a grudge against them. If they went up now, it would cause unnecessary trouble. It was better to wait for them to break the array formation before they followed in. Looking at this array formation, I'm afraid that they will need some time to break it. The Crimson Dragon looked forward and said, "Of course, if Ben Huang helps, he can shorten the time by half. This should be the twin blazing array. It is indeed difficult to break." Lin Xian looked forward and said slowly, "Not bad, kid. You have improved. You can see through this array formation at a glance." The Crimson Dragon nodded continuously. Lin Xian smiled. It would be a waste if he did not learn some array formations from the Crimson Dragon, an array master. Now, his array formation level could be considered as an array formation grandmaster. As long as it wasn't an ancient array formation, he could break any ordinary array formation. As they were talking, Lin Xian suddenly frowned and looked into the distance. Zhao Shui also had a puzzled look. Then, the two of them quickly retracted their auras. Zhao Shui even activated her virtual sky eyes to form a golden vortex that enveloped the two of them. They naturally did this for a reason. Because just northwest of them, two figures suddenly appeared quickly. The two figures were like ghosts. They moved very quickly and did not make any sound. Even their auras were almost undetectable. As soon as they landed, they stared at every movement in front of them. However, they did not notice that there were two people hiding not far from them. When Lin Xian and Zhao Shui saw the two figures, they were shocked. Divine Bird Palace, Eighth Heaven Venerables. Lin Xian frowned. He was not surprised that people from the Divine Bird technique appeared here, but the aura of the other party shocked him. He did not expect that the other party would have two Eighth Heaven Venerables. This was too unexpected. Did the other party also get the silver leaf and the fire phoenix fruit? Lin Xian was puzzled, but then he shook his head slightly. With the strength of the Divine Bird Palace, they should not be able to defeat the tree demon. Moreover, although the other party's aura was strong, it was extremely strange. There was even an aura that he was familiar with. This is the aura of the heavenly Netherbird. The Crimson Dragon looked solemn. You're tuning into the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.